Jihadist and on-the-spot fines for Bedfordshire dog owners.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. Crews from a fire station about 400 yards away did not attend. Herts Fire Service say the response time was 10 minutes. More from Catherine Boyle.
The fire broke out on Heronswood Road at about 2 p.m. The victim, in his 40s, was taken to a London hospital with severe burns but later died. A spokesman for Herts Fire Service said had the strike not been on, the response most likely would have been faster. But he added it's unclear if the outcome would have been different. Unions say striking firefighters were not at a nearby station at the time of the fire. A police and fire service investigation is underway.
ISIS rebels have taken full control of Iraq's frontiers with Syria and Jordan. Meanwhile, a Bedfordshire MP has condemned a decision to bail a Luton man with links to radical Islam who was facing an assault charge. North East Bed's MP Alistair Burt says it was a mistake to allow Abu Azim to leave custody after he absconded and went to Syria to fight with jihadists there.
That, in hindsight, plainly looks like an error of judgment. Now the courts need to be very, very alert that if there's anything in the background of a suspect that might lead to this sort of risk, that they should be pouncing on it.
Police are appealing for witnesses after a 56-year-old pedestrian from Hatfield was killed in a road crash in the early hours of Sunday morning. The crash happened just after 1 a.m. on the A1000 Great North Road, close to French Horn Lane, and involved the man, a car and a motorbike. The Chancellor will say today that a third high-speed rail link should be considered, running east to west across the north of England. In a speech in Manchester, George Osborne will suggest that Britain needs a northern powerhouse. Dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. The council says the changes are part of a series of measures to rein in irresponsible dog owners and reduce fouling. More from Matt Lockwood.
Under the plans, dog owners would have to put their animals on a lead when told to do so by an authorised officer like a park ranger. Not doing so could result in an £80 fine. The council also wants to ban dogs from all enclosed children's play areas and certain countryside sites. Other offences could include taking more than a specified number of dogs onto land and failing to remove dog faeces. But there will be exemptions for blind and disabled people. Major roadworks begin at the Black Cat roundabout in Bedfordshire this morning. Construction is expected to last around 6 months. In sport, Andy Murray starts the defence of his Wimbledon title as the championships get underway today. Murray will open proceedings on centre court against Belgium's David Goffin. The weather staying warm and sunny with a chance of a thundery shower later, a maximum temperature 23 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's happy, it's positive, there's lots of people, there's lots of things going on. It's just charming.
It's all about where you live.
It's still got a real community, you know.
And all this week we're featuring Welwyn and Digswell.
It's a very sociable place.
Got everything you're likely to want. Cafes, restaurants.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, don't panic. Oh, hang on. Don't panic. That's it. I'm on the microphone now. Don't panic. We've got one of the two screens is working again. No thanks to Kelly Betts' input at all.
How rude.
It's factually correct, though. We're coming in. Everyone's messed around with the studio. Do they do programmes on the weekend here?
Yeah, my microphone was very low today.
What programmes do they do at the weekend?
Introduce him.
No.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a pretty good one.
No.
What else could it be? Treasure Quest?
No.
Kitchen?
Yeah, the kitchen. The Saturday
kitchen! I'll get you, kitchen.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm fixing the remote controls that we had to break for that experiment. I'll get you, kitchen! I'll get you! I'll do the show, is it? Oh, hang on a second, I'm not opening the computer now. God, we're so late.
I'd just like to make a point that we're not sorting out the televisions to watch any shows.
No, it's communicative purposes.
Because the one in here works fine.
Yeah.
Well, you're not watching a show on there, are you?
We're watching Good Morning, This is Great Britain.
Is that still going? Yeah. Okay, right. Oh, this is a great menu, Catherine.
Thanks.
Why don't you do it? You'll do it. You'll do it more justice. Enjoy the words, what you've written. Here we go.
Why?
It's good. It's genuinely a good one.
Well, so why are you giving it to me? If it was any good, do you want to do it?
I want you to enjoy... You've written something. Enjoy the joy of joy.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Don't do it sarcastically.
I won't. I'm doing it sincerely. It's the only way I do.
Okay.
Why a dog off the lead could cost you 80 hard-earned pounds. Why a mathematical genius is sitting outside a Milton Keynes gay bar.
Justin.
And why a woman asked if Iain wanted to sit on her daughter's lap.
That's true. That's true.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
That was weird.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
We're going to put a picture up on Facebook in the next few minutes, right, of me sitting outside a cafe in that there London.
Yeah, doing the awkward face.
I'm doing the awkward face. It was very awkward. Can we get the picture up there and just ask the simple question, is there anything wrong with the way Iain's sitting? Or something like that?
Mm-hmm. I think it will get a lot of negative response.
Sorry, why? With the position that Iain is sitting in?
Yes, OK.
That's better.
Is there anything wrong with Iain's positioning?
Oh, for goodness sakes, why are you trying
Call me now.
No.
Or if is there anything wrong with Iain?
Right, no. We're going to put the picture up on Facebook during this song, and we'll explain on a little bit, don't we? So... Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, a man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City. There's a fire station 400 yards down the road from the scene on Heronswood Road, but no crews were available as they were taking part in the latest round of FBU strikes. Herts Fire and Rescue said it took 10 minutes for an alternative crew to get there. Well, Catherine's been looking into this one. Catherine, what more do we know?
Well, we don't know too much, but what I can tell you is that the fire broke out on Heronswood Road about 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. The victim was a man in his 40s who was taken to Whitechapel Hospital with severe burns, and I'm afraid he didn't recover from those injuries. The fire service and Hertfordshire Police have now launched a joint investigation into what happened.
So where was the nearest available crew then?
We're going to be putting calls into Herts Fire and the FBU to see whether there's any more they can tell us about that. But what we do know is that on any other day there would have been just down the road, about 400 yards away. But on Saturday that crew was 4 hours into a 7-hour strike over pension. intentions. The chairman of the Fire Brigades Union in Hertfordshire, Del McLeod, told us they were not allowed to stay on site during that time, as Herts Fire and Rescue does not allow staff to be on premises during a strike. But he did add that on a normal day there was a good chance that a crew from that station would have been able to attend the fire, but it wasn't guaranteed. Del McLeod also said this was a difficult time for everyone involved and that all the crew's thoughts were with the family of the man who died.
Any words from Herts Fire? Any word from Herts Fire yet?
As I say, this is an ongoing thing. We're going to try and give them another go this morning. But over the weekend, a spokesman sort of echoed what the FBU told us, telling us had the strike not been on, the response most likely would have been faster. However, it's unclear at the moment if that outcome would have been different. As I say, the Fire and Rescue Service and Hertfordshire Police have launched a joint investigation, so we'll put in some calls in the course of the morning, although I suspect Iain will be told that they can't say much more until that investigation's concluded.
Catherine, thank you very much.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. In Brogborough on the A421 at the M1 junction 13 for Bedford, there's been an accident on the roundabout, but it's not causing any delays on the speed sensors at the moment. In Beaconsfield, there are some roadworks on the Amersham Road. Temporary traffic lights just after Longbottom Lane, so that may affect traffic going between Amersham and Beaconsfield. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Alice. Right, 6:15. It's Monday the 23rd of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. Crews from a fire station about 400 yards away did not attend. Dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 hard-earned if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. And in sport, Andy Murray starts the defence of his Wimbledon title as the championships get underway today. I know we're not supposed to comment on the news, but for goodness sake, someone shoot me.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, 2 weeks of that guff whilst the World Cup is running simultaneously. Life doesn't get any worse than this.
BBC Sport.
Oh,
just no! Through the gates gives you goosebumps.
With all eyes.
Give you goosebumps.
The nerves, the excitement. Who knows what will happen when they step onto the grass?
Some rich people will play tennis. That's what will happen.
This generation of tennis players.
Oh, Castle.
Been equalled.
Go and get a personality.
Game up a notch.
It's anyone's game.
No, it's not.
Special.
It's 3 men.
But every player wants to win.
Of course they do. It's a tennis tournament. They want to win. There's a load of money.
Today, across the BBC.
This is going to do my nutting. This is what we need. Just everyone, just relax. We've got Barry. Bezra sorts out.
You know I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh and I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything. You see, I feel sad when you're sad. I feel glad when you're glad. If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you. You came along just like a song and brightened my day. Who'd have believed that you were part of a dream? Now it all seems light years away. And now you know I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh and I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything. You see, I feel sad when you're sad. I feel glad when you're glad. If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile. Now some people say happiness takes so very long to find. Well, I'm finding it hard leaving your love behind me. And you see, I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh and I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything. You see, I feel glad when you're glad. I feel sad when you're sad. If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you.
Right, the picture's up on Facebook. It's a picture of me at the weekend. Catherine, Paul Scoynes and myself went to that there London for, well, it was...
Cheese. Cheese and drama.
Cheese and drama. We went to a cheese restaurant and then we went to the theatre. My mum still calls it the theatre.
Does she?
The theatre.
How posh.
I know, well, she's not. She's dead common. It's her trying to be... It's Mrs Bouquet, isn't it? We went to the theatre. So it weren't no theatre.
My mum says Attell.
Why?
She thinks she's posh.
It weren't no theatre, it was a warehouse, and we had to follow actors around. I seem to always stumble upon the young ladies that were getting changed.
How funny.
Did you see any of that?
No.
I saw 2 girls in their pants.
Did you?
Yeah. Basically, it was this play, The Drowned Man. It was excellent. It's on 4 floors, and it's an interactive performance art piece where basically...
Immersive.
You immerse yourself in it, and you put on masks... and then you follow whichever actors around you want. I lost Scoins and Catherine within minutes because did you see me? I was being quite cocky at the start.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't even watching the actors. They were all acting bonkers.
Yeah.
He wasn't even watching those. He was having a look at the scenery.
Yeah, I went into the shops. I went and had a look around the shops. And then I came out and I thought, stuff this, and I sat down on the set.
I know.
Let's see how interactive this bad boy is. And I sat down on it. And no one told me off. It was brilliant. Anyway, that was brilliant.
I saw that and I thought, what a plum.
Whoa! You thought, hey, he's really cool. He's breaking convention. He don't care.
The former drama student. Getting involved.
Totally. I thought, let's put these guys to the test. Anyway, if you've seen The Drowned Man, it's excellent. If you've not seen it, you're a sucker. And before that, we went to a cheese restaurant where we dined on cheese.
Yeah. I mean, I like cheese. These boys love cheese.
It was embarrassing, Catherine, that you weren't getting as...
Well, I wasn't making the noises you were making. It was a bit when Harry Met Sally.
It was.
For you and Scoins.
Me and Scoins with Sally.
I sat back and drank my cordial.
Yeah, I know. And she was like, we're having these big blocks
Slabs
of cheese. And Catherine's having like a tiny little bit of cheese.
Well, I was tasting it, you know.
I'm feeling nauseous. We were. It was quite... Oh, I nearly said a swear word. You know the swear word that means pretentious? We were quite... we were very pretentious, and we tried cheese. I do love a cheese. And we tried cheese, and we go, oh, my gosh, Scoins, this is amazing. You've got to try
That's
this.
a polite version of what you said. Oh, this cheese makes me want to... ...
Anyway. In between...
cheese made him want to do that.
It really did. In between I was... Did you have any trouble when you went to the toilet that night?
No, fine, but I didn't wolf it like you.
I was peeing cheese strings. Seriously, one got stuck. I had to pull it out. I was peeing cheese strings. Can you believe such a thing? Anyway, did you snort? In between the cheese and the theatre, something very, very odd happened, right? I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. It was really uncomfortable for all of us.
Yeah, but great at the same time.
Well, uncomfortable, but as it was happening, I wanted to die, but I thought this is Monday's show. It was uncomfortable for all the people around us. I'm not going to explain it.
I actually issued the words, leave it, Iain.
She did!
Did she say it's not worth it?
He was gone by then.
She put a hand on my arm and went, leave it, Iain, as I'm standing up. It was brilliant. I'm not going to tell you... I'll tell you what happened in a little bit, but go to the Facebook page. There's a picture of the way I was... The way I was sat caused a problem, OK? Go and have a look at the picture at facebook.com/BBC3CR and just let me know if you can see a problem with the way I'm sat, because maybe I was wrong. I know it's hard to admit, but maybe, just maybe I was wrong, and you can give us a call, 08459 455 555. Now, dog owners, I'm talking to you, who walk their pets without a lead in central beds, could soon face a fine of £80 hard-earned pounds. The council is considering bringing in the penalty to encourage responsible ownership. They may also ban dogs from parts of the countryside and bring in a 2-metre lead law in areas where dogs are welcome. Well, our reporter Matt Lockwood has been out getting your reaction to this.
What do you think, then? Should all dogs be kept on leads?
I think they should, yes. I mean, you hear so many accidents now with dogs attacking children, and I would hate anything to happen to my grandchildren, so yes, I do. I sometimes think that people with dogs think, oh, well, it's only a dog, so if it runs across your garden and poos all over, that's all right. Would they like my child to do that? No. So why should a dog do it?
And if you're in a park and you see a dog around and you're with your grandchildren, are you a bit more wary?
Oh, definitely. Because I think so many people now seem to go for the big dogs as well. A big dog attacking our little grandchild, who wouldn't stand a chance. So definitely I think they should be on leads.
Well, I'm not too keen on keeping the dogs permanently on the lead.
What about this idea that you have your dogs and you should be able to exercise them properly? So if you want to let your dog wander a bit, I mean, what harm is that doing? Why should that dog be on a lead?
Keep the dogs away from the children, they'll be fine.
Do you think there are some dog owners that are irresponsible, that shouldn't have dogs?
Most definitely. Yeah, there's too many status dogs. People have got dogs to look macho when they're not looking after the animals properly. They should be forced to have some kind of insurance and tagged, so if there's any problems then they know who to contact then.
And these plans are meant to tackle irresponsible dog owners. I mean, do you think this will stop that?
It might help short term, but long term it needs more thought and more put into it.
So it sounds a bit like a short term fix.
Yeah, short term fix at the moment.
Well, he's always on the lead. because he keeps getting attacked.
Right, who does he get attacked by?
By dogs, not on the leads.
I mean, how do you feel about that then? So there are certain dogs that are not on leads and attack your dog?
Yeah, there's certain dogs I have to keep them away from.
What are those dogs then?
Rottweilers, other staffies.
Do you think that dog owners that don't keep their animals on a lead are irresponsible?
Yeah, I would rather see dogs on leads, especially when there's kids around. He's a family dog, so the last thing I want to do is take him home bruised and battered.
Do you think there are some people that just shouldn't have dogs?
Well, it depends on the owners, doesn't it, and how they bring them up. Like I say, he's a family dog, he's got 4 children at home around him, and he's great. He's never harmed anyone yet. He's been bit a few times himself.
So what do you think? Dogs on leads? Call me now. 08459 455 5. Of course they should be on leads. They're dogs! Put dogs on leads. Then take them to a specialist park where they can run around and bite the whatever out of each other. Flippin' hate dogs. Hate dogs. Dirty.
Oh, no, come on.
They stink.
They're your best friend.
No, why? What, because I'm a man?
Yeah.
In that case, I resign from the manhood.
Dogs are much more fun than cats.
Kelly Betts.
Yes.
You're fired.
How can you look at a dog with its joyful face out of a window of a car, its jowls flapping in the breeze?
Whose face is out of the window of the car?
The dog's. How can you look at that and say, I hate dogs? That is one of the most joyous things about life.
08459 455 555. All weekend.
I'm not sure.
What are you doing?
Being the dog with their head out the window.
I'm not going to indulge it. All weekend, I've been obsessing with hair. We were talking about hair the other week, weren't we? That's why.
Yeah, you were talking about it. I've been thinking about it, and then yesterday it got mentioned again.
Yeah. And I had a dream about it.
But the day before, I just bought it.
Weird, isn't it? Shall we have a bit of it? Yes.
I met a boy called Frank Mills on September 12th right here in front of the Waverley, but unfortunately I lost his address. He was last seen with his friend, a drummer. He resembles George Harrison of the Beatles, but he wears his hair tied in a small bow at the back. I love him, but it embarrasses me to walk down the street with him. He lives in Brooklyn somewhere, and he wears this white crash helmet. He has gold chains on his leather jacket, and on the back are written the words Mary and Mum, a Mr. Freedom. I would gratefully appreciate it if you see him. Tell him I'm in the pub with my girlfriend, and please tell him Angela and I don't want the $2 back, just him.
Oh, come on. And yes, Kelly Betts may have been mocking that song, saying that, well, if that's a song, then I could write a song. But that was a song.
The melody is lovely, but the words are a bit...
You could sing anything over that.
I met a boy named Frank Mills right here, September the 12th, in front of the Waverley, but unfortunately I lost his address. That is poetry. He was last seen with his friend, a drummer. He resembles George Harrison of the Beatles, but he wears his hair tied in a small bow at the back. That is poetry, guys.
Okay.
And that's the third best song in the Hair soundtrack,
It's got
Catherine.
a white crash helmet as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Should be quite easy to spot, I should think.
For goodness sakes.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bogborough on the A421 at the M1 junction 13 for Bedford, there's been an accident on the roundabout and the road is partially blocked, but it's not causing any delays on the speed sensors at the moment. The M1 London bound, though, that is starting to build up now between junction 10 for Luton and 9 for Redbourne. On public transport, the London Overground is suspended between Richmond and Stratford after a fire alert at Camden Road. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A man has died in hospital following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. Crews from a fire station about 400 yards away did not attend. Herts Fire Service say the response time was 10 minutes. Bedfordshire MP and former Foreign Office Minister Alistair Burt has condemned a decision to bail a Luton man with links to radical Islam who was facing an assault charge and fled to join fighters in Syria. And dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. The council says the changes are part of a series of measures to rein in irresponsible dog owners and reduce fouling.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray starts the defence of his Wimbledon title as the championships get underway today. Murray will open proceedings on centre court against Belgium's David Goffin. At the World Cup, Portugal scored a stoppage-time equaliser to draw 2-2 with the USA and keep their hopes alive. Belgium are through to the last 16 after beating Russia 1-0. Watford's Assaid Belkalim was a late sub for Algeria in their 4-2 win over South Korea. Today it's Holland versus Chile and Australia against Spain at 5, with Cameroon versus Brazil and Croatia against Mexico at 9. Roy Hodgson, meanwhile, is promising changes for England's final game against Costa Rica tomorrow. Frank Lampard is expected to captain the side, with Steven Gerrard's international future uncertain.
I spoke to the manager this morning and asked him for some time over the summer to consider my future. But I certainly won't be rushing into any decision. I don't feel it's right to make a decision now or in a week's time. I'm still hurting very bad. I'm broken from what's gone on. So I need to get away, get on holiday and basically clear my head before I make that big decision.
Lewis Hamilton was second in the Austrian Grand Prix, but he was beaten again by teammate and championship rival Nico Rosberg. For the Milton Keynes Red Bull team, Daniel Ricciardo was 8th. Sebastian Vettel didn't finish, leaving team boss Christian Horner to describe engine supplier Renault's performance as unacceptable. Hamilton now trails Rosberg by 29 points, but had started 9th on the grid.
I had an incredible start, very, very happy with the job the team and I did together to get that launch. I mean, I don't really know where it came from, but it was awesome.
And Sri Lanka will start the 4th day of the second cricket test at Headingley on 214 for 4 in their second innings. They lead England by 106. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hey! Have you been putting a bit of...
Yeah. Of been to St Tropes.
You have, haven't you?
Yes.
So you look a bit swarthy.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
That's funny.
I can't get one otherwise.
Tan. We're talking tans, by the way, guys, in case you Catherine is... I've just looked at your face, and you look very dark.
I don't look very dark.
You look orange.
I don't look orange.
You've got a ginger face.
I haven't got a ginger face.
Do you spray it on, or do you slap it?
Mousse.
Why? Isn't it funny? Why do people bother doing that?
Because I like to be able to go out and not wear as many clothes as I perhaps should.
And you like looking dirty, do you?
No.
You like having
What do you mean I look dirty?
When you're not wearing... No, your face looks dirty. You look like my boys last night after been playing in the woods all day.
Who says I haven't? No, it's just that otherwise I blind people with the whiteness of my skin.
I like the pale skin.
Yeah.
The pale skin is a thing.
Yeah. You can say that, you ain't got it.
I've got quite pale skin.
No.
08459 455 555. Can someone explain to me why you would do the fake tan? Do people still do the sunbeds?
Oh, well, this person doesn't.
No, I know you don't.
People do.
You do the mousse. But people still do the sunbeds.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was a thing, you coming from up north, you would have seen this, for your best mate's mum to have a sunbed in the spare room?
Our neighbour Carol had one, and you'd often see the blue light through her Venetian blinds.
Is there anybody... Right, we'll put this out there, we won't get any calls on this. Is there anybody who still has a sunbed in the spare room? People won't have it now.
Justin's got one, hasn't he?
Is he sunbed or is he mousse?
I don't know. You might want to ask him about his methods.
We'll speak to Justin later on and we'll ask him directly.
Oh no, he goes to, what's it called? That place he goes to.
Tanfastics.
Beauty in the Beach.
Which I'm sure is an excellent establishment. 08459 455 555. Has anyone got a sunbed in their spare room? And let's have sunbed stories. Let's be as vague as that. Look, now we can have a look at the papers.
Yeah, let's.
But there isn't much in there. The Sun is after that woman with the boobs again. The different boob job models, £6,000 taxi handouts.
Why are we still calling her a model?
Well,
she's had a picture taken a few times.
She was a prostitute for a while. Now she's. I would suggest the headline would be better: mentally ill woman, £6,000 taxi handout. And I mean that with respect, because she's obviously damaged goods. I would suggest she was damaged before the Sun got hold of her. And they're making it worse. Shameless mum Josie Cunningham is getting taxpayer-funded taxi rides worth £6,000 a year. The wannabe glamour model, 23, you'll recognise her. She's the lady with the HD eyebrows. Says public transport in Leeds gives her anxiety attacks. Josie, you wouldn't see Katie Price get a bus, and I'm more hated than her. Well, you're more hated because you keep appearing on the front page of The Sun talking about your fake boobs.
And saying rude things to celebrities.
Does she?
Yeah, she says rude things.
What does she say?
She said she criticises them in a kind of less intelligent Katie Hopkins kind of way.
Wow, less intelligent than Katie Hopkins. Golly gee. 08459 455 555. Here's something that I don't approve of.
Oh, another thing. Go on.
Huh?
Yeah.
Stream Age Kicks exclusive chart shake-up. There's another chart shake-up. The charts, as we all know, if record gets into the top 40 or the hit parade, it's because a significant number have been bought in one of the shops that is linked to the chart system. Not too many, because then that would raise alarm bells back at Chart HQ, and that would then be discounted from that week's count. But it's got to be a store that is linked to the charts. Mm-hmm. Not anymore. If you stream it on Spotify, it counts. If you stream it on Spotify, you can't get a record into the charts on the number of plays it gets on a phone. That's not charts. You've got to buy it. You've got to know what the specific stores are. I don't know what the specific stores are. No one knows. That's the thing. Flippin' heck! I think the Our Price in Slough was monitored for charts.
Oh, really?
That was the rumour. You have to go to the Our Price in Slough to buy a record. Maybe it was a rumour they put out.
Yeah,
but you cannot count streaming.
This all sounds like bullshine, and how on earth would they ever prove?
My heart sank then, as yours often does when I'm talking.
When you say that word.
Yeah. You can't... This is nonsense, because I could just sit... Right, imagine I've got my new single out, which is coming out soon, guys.
You could hire a group of minions to do it.
Exactly. I just get some cyber geeks, and we just sit at home pressing our play buttons all the time. Play.
Or you develop some software that does that for you.
Play. Oh, suddenly I'm number 16 in the charts again. Rubbish. What you got?
Will papers, this is you I'm talking to, please stop taking pictures of people while they're eating? It's never attractive, we know. Why do you do this? Look at Zara with a face full of cornet.
She's done that before,
she's going to have that baby's eye out.
Yeah. Never put something like that big in your mouth.
I mean, I feel sorry for her. We all do things when we're holding babies that we wouldn't like to be photographed doing. I remember when I had my first, I didn't go to the toilet alone for a good 3 weeks.
3 weeks, is that what? My boys still come when I go to the toilet.
Well, taking a baby with you on your lap while you're going to... you just do these things because you think that you need to be with them all the time. When you have your second one, it's slightly less.
Some people, including my mother-in-law, are disgusted by people walking down the street eating. You got a problem with that?
I know it's supposed to be common, but so are an awful lot of things that are doable these days. I don't like it. I don't think it's comfortable. I'd rather not.
But if you had a Ginsters and you're in between meetings, high-powered meetings,
I'd be eating Ginsters still, would I?
Well, keeping it real.
Of course I would.
But if you're
eating Greg's dummy,
you're eating the Ginsters on the way down, or a sandwich from M&S if you want to be poncy. What's the problem? Where's your beef? Unless it's a beef sandwich, in which
probably
case...
all down my front.
Exactly. 08459 455 555. Do us one more, and then... Oh, have you not got one more?
No, hang on. I'll have one more. Just let me use my Johnny Five type fat powers.
I can...
Marriage gets better when you reach 70, so there's hope for us all.
God.
Couples who stay married into their 70s can look forward to an even better time together, research suggests. They can't guarantee it. It may not be worth hanging on if you're in doubt.
If you're having a miserable time at 69...
Well, it's worth it for 12 more months.
Well, but it's not going to suddenly get better, is it?
If you're 22 and not happy, I wouldn't wait 50 years.
Yeah.
One reason it found is that men learn to appreciate their wives more. Mutual dependence within marriage becomes particularly important to men after 70, partly as compensation for the loss of male friends who died. So you've got no alternatives, lads.
Wow. It's only good because your
friends
mates
don't
are
call
dead.
anymore. Oh, gosh.
That's got to be worth it, hasn't it? Hasn't it?
There will be no love that's dying here. The bird that flew in through my window simply lost his way. He broke his wing, I helped him heal, and then he flew away. Well, the death of love is everywhere, but I won't let it be. There will be no love is dying here for me. There will be no love that's dying here. The mirror that fell from the wall was raggedy, that's all. It rests upon a rusty nail before it made us fall. Well, the bones of love are everywhere, but I won't let it be. There will be no love that's dying here for me. There will be no love that's dying here. The bird that flew in through my window,
yeah, my respect, boss,
simply lost his way. He broke his wings, I helped him heal, and then he flew away. The death of love.
Do you think he's going to sleep on a snake?
But I won't let it be. There will be no love that's dying here for me. No, there will be no love that's dying here. No, there will be no love that's dying here. No, 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 no. There will be no love dying for me.
Do you think he's going to sleep on a snake?
Yeah, my respect, boss, yeah?
That was a strange song, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like Curtis Stigers.
It was jazz. I think that was like jazz pop.
It was mellow, though.
Very mellow.
It was inoffensive.
No one, as far as I'm aware, and by no one I mean me, you're going to be sick.
I've just seen something in the paper.
You're going to be sick?
Yeah.
No one goes home from a hard day's work, puts on some mellow records, and pours himself a glass of whiskey and rolls a no one does that anymore. No one just puts on the record, mellow record, glass of whiskey.
I imagine Bruce Willis does.
What's made you gag?
Well, the Daily Mail, in its quest to show that women are really very stupid.
This is a great story.
It's had some help from very stupid women. Would you have your toes shortened to fit killer heels?
This is brilliant. Who would do it? Kelly, would you shorten your toes?
No.
There we go.
She doesn't. She's got very small, dainty toes.
Tiny
anyway.
toes.
This
Great toes.
Had her toes shortened and.
Oh, look, and there it is.
I know, that's what's made me go.
Paulina Charlikowski, you, sir, are an idiot.
And you are letting the side down.
She had her toes broken and shortened. There's a picture.
Anyway, her shoes look lovely.
It was weeks before I could walk normally again, but my feet are a size smaller. You absolute massive idiot.
Why don't you just buy the right size shoes?
You stupid, short-toed woman. That's stupid, isn't it?
It's madness.
Why would anyone... how could anyone think...
Oh, these shoes don't fit. Shall I get a bigger size? No, I'll shorten my toes.
Gonna get my toes broken and then shortened.
Why would a doctor do that? I thought the first thing was do no harm.
Great example to set young women.
Gosh.
It sounds silly. I've always hated my feet and felt too embarrassed to get them out in front of friends.
What?
Said the salon owner from Blackpool.
Let me tell you something. Then they're not your friends.
It didn't help that
look at her feet.
My feet were a huge size 8, which meant shoes look ungainly, and my second and third toes were longer than my big toes. That's Neanderthal. I would squeeze my feet into shoes 2 sizes smaller. Well, you're an idiot. So my toes are always sore and covered in corns. You're an idiot. I knew I was making my feet look even worse. Hit upon a drastic solution. Cinderella surgery.
Yeah, make it sound nice. It's not.
Oh gosh.
It's more like ugly sister surgery.
In recent years... Alice, have a listen to this. Would you shorten your toes, Alice?
No.
You've got quite big feet, haven't you?
No, they're kind of normal, I think.
Well, you say that. When you were here, I remember thinking, oh, dear.
Hey, Alice,
the first thing you noticed.
Do you hang around with people who you're ashamed to show your feet to?
Of course not.
Exactly.
Here we go. In recent years, these operations, which include shortening or lengthening toes...
Lengthening?
Shaving off excess bone to remove unsightly lumps and bumps, and even sucking excess fat from big toes, have become popular in America.
Well, they've got too much money and too much time.
Who thought of that? Who thought that was a good idea? The first person that thought, if only I could shorten my toes.
The world has gone insane. I must have either legalised acid and I forgot I've taken some, or I am still asleep. The world has gone insane.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Brogborough, on the A421 at the M1 junction 13 for Bedford, there was an earlier accident on the roundabout, but it's now all cleared. The M1 London bound looking heavy, though, between junction 10 for Luton and 9 for Redbourne. Also, the M25 anti-clockwise starting to look heavy. Very slow between junction 21 for the M1 and 20 for Kings Langley. Also heavy going between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Alice. 6:47. It is, Monday. Yes, it is. OK. The 23rd of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. Crews from a fire station about 400 yards away did not attend. Dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. That's 80 of your hard-earned pounds. And in sport, Wimbledon starts today with, the tennis and stuff.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's another fine, dry and sunny day with the pollen count very high, as you can probably hear in my voice. Tissues at the ready, but also sunscreen and sun hats. We've got a bit of cloud around at the moment, but it will thin, it will break, we'll get some decent sunny spells, and that's when the temperature will rise. We're looking at a maximum of 22, possibly 23 Celsius later. Towards the rush hour this evening, we do run the risk of one or two very heavy thundery showers developing. We could see 15 millimetres of rain in a very short space of time, so it is potential for those to happen. They may skirt round us completely, it may remain dry, but we have to warn you. Overnight it will eventually clear out if we do get any, and we could see one or two mist and fog patches develop. Minimum temperature 13 Celsius. For Tuesday, bright sunny spells, one or two isolated showers, perhaps around midday, but for most of us we should stay dry tomorrow. Maximum temperature a warm 22 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
Every weekday morning.
My show's called The JVS Show, 9 o'clock in the morning on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
I deal with the consumer problems that affect people all over Beds, Herts and Bucks.
And I said, well, I didn't come all this way to be looking at a broken down hotel.
Those companies, those councils, those organisations that are letting people down.
This guy turned around and said to me that they're not prepared to pay me, and I said, so you're forcing me to take action. And he said, good luck, and put the phone down on me.
I get my teeth into them.
Oh, Jonathan, I'll start crying soon. We don't know what to do.
Deal with them and hopefully get results for you, the consumers.
And it got so convoluted, I thought there's only one person who can sort this out.
The JVS Show on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wee Willy Wonky.
You're right, Catherine. If it's making women cry, he should certainly not sink his teeth into them.
Yeah, take your teeth out.
That, I think, is particularly with all the recent scandals. JVS, just stop sinking your teeth into women listeners. What you got?
You know Sting? Off of the Police.
Oh, yeah.
And his solo
I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York.
He's a Geordie, and yet he sounds like that.
He does sound like that.
He was also a Geordie that's got a child called Giacomo.
Wee.
Along with Coco, Jake, Mickey, and...
Right, yeah, it's Coco!
Joseph, Kit...
Giacomo!
Mickey, Jake, Coco and Giacomo.
What's his real name? Andrew? Neil?
Gordon.
Hey, Gordon, where's Giacomo? Will you bring Giacomo down to pub?
I didn't think he talks like that anymore.
Where's Giacomo?
Anyway, he's not giving them any of his 180 million when he dies.
What?
No, they're on their own.
You take it! Sting! You take...
I'm going to spend the lot, said Sting.
Sting! You take... Give Giacomo a few quid, Sting! You take... Give him some money!
No, he says it'll only do them harm. It'll only be a huge burden, so he's going to spend the lot selflessly.
Yeah, it would do harm to pass money on to your children when you die. You're right, Sting. That's not tight.
Yeah.
That's not miserable. That's not selfish. That's actually giving them good grounding.
So he's cracked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, and they're all getting note.
Yeah, give them a few quid, Sting.
Stop being tight, Howie.
Sting is so well.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I've never been in line for an inheritance of that amount of money.
Yeah. So you're jealous?
It wouldn't ruin me much.
Sting would ruin you.
No, it wouldn't.
Financially.
That's a vicious rumour.
I tell you what, we'll play a record, and then we'll talk about what happened outside this.
Oh yes.
This cafe on Friday. Really weird thing. Go and look at the Facebook page at the way I'm sitting, and let me know if you think there have you got an issue with it? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Now, so what happened was on Friday, Catherine, Paul Scoynes, political reporter, and I went to That There London. We went to a fancy cheese restaurant where we dined on cheese, and we feasted, and we did get a bit high. There was a cheese buzz going on.
I had a really muggy head after that.
Yeah,
and you ate more cheese than me.
I didn't feel good. I'll be honest. It was delicious, but I didn't feel good. And in the evening, we went to see The Drowned Man at Paddington's. Brilliant play. In between those, we went to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a particularly posh coffee shop.
No, simple enough. They didn't even serve it in a cup. You had a bowl.
You got a bowl. If it was the one where they serve it in a bowl, right? And it was a nice day, so we went and sat outside.
Yeah.
And the very kind camp German waiter. With
beautiful teeth.
He had good teeth, didn't he? He had a hipster beard, but don't hold that against him. He pushed 2 tables together for us. He chose the tables. He pushed 2 tables together, and we had 5 chairs around, even though there were only 3 of us. So Paul sat with his left-hand side to the window. Catherine sat facing the window, and I sat opposite Paul Scoynes. But I'd turned, as you can see in the picture, I'd turned so my back was against the window,
so he could face me, and you know he was diagonal to me, and
I was watching the world going by.
Yeah, we all were.
We're watching the world go by. Part of my chair is on the window, but part of my back was leaning on the window. Right. And behind us, there was a woman, late 50s, early 60s, and her daughter. So we're there having a way, and I can see out the corner of my eye, my excellent peripheral vision, that the older woman is not... she's agitated. And I can't quite work out why, but I can see she's agitated, but it's nothing doing me, good for her. And then what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
She comes out.
She steams out.
Yeah, she steams out. What was the first thing she said?
She said, "Excuse me, do you want to sit on my daughter's lap?"
She wasn't posh English. We couldn't work out her nationality.
She was kind of American. But it wasn't him. It was a Euro-American.
Euro. She said, "Do you want to sit on my daughter's lap?" And it was such a strange opening gambit. We all went, "Sorry, what?" And the problem was...
the way you have your chair...
I had my back to the window, and I thought she was telling me off for leaning on the window.
Yeah.
So I said, do you not want me to lean on the window? And then the problem was I had my back to her daughter. It wasn't that I was leaning. And then she said, "Did you never listen to when your mother brought you up? She brought you up terribly. You're a very rude man."
Yes. And then she went back in.
And she did that annoying thing of flouncing off before anyone can say anything.
But flouncing off and then sitting pretty much next to you again because she was on the other side of the glass.
Yeah.
So I can't look straight ahead because there's this woman there seething.
Yeah.
Her daughter looks very sheepish. I'm trying not to make eye contact with either of them, but I'm aware of them both kind of, on the other side of the glass. You're doing the awkward face. Scoynes is doing the awkward face. It's all a bit awkward.
We all felt very, very uncomfortable. The camp German waiter was there, and he apologised.
He went, "Wow, I'm so sorry."
He did say, "Maybe she can see your bum crack." He didn't quite say that. He phrased it a little bit more directly. And
she couldn't because you're very careful about that.
I checked. I'm always careful. I'm not one of those that puts that on display. I checked it was covered. And we sat there for the next 5 minutes. The 3 of us were a little bit uncomfortable, but we kind of get over it and we enjoy the rest of the time. Now, after
when your shoulders are clamped, that's what it was. We were we didn't dare move.
And she came out 20 minutes later, and they left, and I could see she was leaving, and I thought, right, do you know what? I'm not going to have this. And this is quite unlike me. I know I'm quite argumentative on here, but in real life, I'm a pussycat. But I got up to go and have a word with her, and you put your hand on my shoulder, Ian, don't.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. But I went after her in the street, and I was very, very quiet and very soft, and I put my hands up, and I went, "Look, I just want to say." And as I put my hands up, she flinched as though I was going to punch her. Kelly, get this. She did the. I put my hands like this, saying, "Well, I come in peace," and she went like that and did the flinch as though I was going to punch her. And I said, "Look, I just want to say, I think the way you dealt with that situation was quite impolite and quite rude. I would have preferred it if you'd have spoken to me on my own." who are you? I don't even know who you are.
So it meant nothing.
Yeah, I don't even know who you are. She's carrying on walking. I said, look, I think your point... I don't think your point was valid, but also I think the way you handled it was very rude and very aggressive. You've made me and my friends feel uncomfortable. You've made your daughter feel uncomfortable. I don't feel uncomfortable. All right, keep out of this, love. And I just think that was a rather unpleasant way of dealing with things. And then
she gave you a witty remark.
She said, honey, if you were prettier, I might be bothered.
Oh, wow.
So she went for that.
Then did you hit her?
Then I punched her in the... No, I said, if that's the best you can do, is that the best you can do? She went, yes, it is. And she was walking down the street. I just went, you are a very, very rude woman. And that was that.
That told her.
And that told her. And then I came and sat down, and the people at the next table said, what was her problem? And so there are two things here, I guess. The first thing is there like an etiquette I don't know about sitting with your back to a window? And maybe she's completely right. I've mentioned this to people and no one has got it.
Maybe it's a European thing, but I've lived in Europe and I never had that.
They do that. She would hate Paris.
Gosh.
They do it all the time. Is there a rule somewhere that you don't sit with your back to a window? 08459 455 555. And we've kind of done this before. We did this recently. Ever been told off in a public arena?
By a stranger.
But we can put this out there again. Ever been told off in a public arena or ever kind of confronted someone? And I'm really proud that I went up and told her she was bullying and she didn't listen. But
she obviously stomps around life saying what she wants to people and getting away with it.
08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 London bound, heavy going in patches between junction 11 for Dunstable and 6A for the M25. Then the M25 itself anti-clockwise, very slow between junction 21 for the M1 and 20 for Kings Langley. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much indeed. If you want to give us a call on any of the things that we're talking about this morning, now would be an excellent time to do it. 08459 455 555. Maybe we'll speak after the news with Simon Oxley.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. The headlines. Man dies after Hertfordshire blaze during latest fire strike. MP criticises bail decision for Luton jihadist. And Bedfordshire dog owners facing on-the-spot fines.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. Crews from a fire station about 400 yards away did not attend. Herts Fire Service say the response time was 10 minutes. More from Catherine Boyle.
The fire broke out on Heronswood Road at about 2 p.m. The victim, in his 40s, was taken to a London hospital with severe burns but later died. A spokesman for Herts Fire Service said had the strike not been on, the response most likely would have been faster. But he added it's unclear if the outcome would have been different. Unions say striking firefighters were not at a nearby station at the time of the fire. A police and fire service investigation is underway.
A former top MI6 official says the security services will never be able to monitor all the British men who return home after fighting in Syria. Meanwhile, the North East Bedfordshire MP and former Foreign Office Minister Alistair Burt has condemned a decision to bail a Luton man with links to radical Islam who was facing an assault charge and fled to join fighters in Syria.
That, in hindsight, plainly looks like an error of judgment. Now the courts need to be very, very alert that if there's anything in the background of a suspect that might lead to this sort of risk, that they should be pouncing on it.
Police are appealing for witnesses after a 56-year-old pedestrian from Hatfield was killed in a road crash in the early hours of Sunday morning. The crash happened just after 1 a.m. on the A1000 Great North Road, close to French Horn Lane, and involved the man, a car and a motorbike. Dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. The council says the changes are part of a series of measures to rein in irresponsible owners. More from Matt Lockwood.
Under the plans, dog owners would have to put their animals on a lead when told to do so by an authorised officer like a park ranger. Not doing so could result in an £80 fine. The council also wants to ban dogs from all enclosed children's play areas and certain countryside sites. Other offences could include taking more than a specified number of dogs onto land and failing to remove dog faeces. but there will be exemptions for blind and disabled people.
The Chancellor, George Osborne, is to suggest that a third high-speed rail link should be considered, running east to west across the north of England. In a speech in Manchester, Mr Osborne will say it's not healthy for the UK economy that London is so dominant. Major roadworks begin at the Black Cat roundabout in Bedfordshire this morning. Construction is expected to last around 6 months, as Lee Agnew reports.
More than £5.5 million is being spent improving the junction of the A1 and the A421, which is backed up with congested traffic on a regular basis. The scheme will see the existing roundabout enlarged with new drainage and lighting. Overnight road closures and traffic restrictions will only come into force in September after work on land next to the junction is completed.
In sport, Wimbledon starts today with reigning champion Andy Murray first on centre court. The weather staying warm and sunny, but with the chance of a thundery shower later, a maximum temperature 23 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
If I walk up and down the street, I'm often seeing people I know.
Quiet country living in a really convenient location.
And all this week we're featuring Welwyn and Digswell.
It's a great village to live. You know, it's got a real family feel about it.
It's all about where you live.
People are proud to be in Welwyn. It's a nice place to live.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wimbledon, Wimbledon. More like. Don't analyse it. Don't analyse it. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Coming up this morning, why a dog off the lead could cost you 80 hard-earned pounds. Oh dear, why a mathematical genius is sitting outside a Milton Keynes gay bar. And go and have a look at this picture on Facebook. It's me sat outside a cafe. That's how I was sat when I got rollocked for having my back against the window. Is there really a problem there? Ever been told off in the public and as a result of that ever confronted someone yourself? We saw a fella in the queue for the theatre who eyeballed a packet of crisps on the floor, picked it up and was going along going, is this your packet of crisps? Is this your packet of crisps? He approached the woman in the car and basically threw it in there. Good for him. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, I've given myself hyperventilate there a little bit, which is exciting. Right, 08459 455 555 is the phone number. A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City. Now, there's a fire station 400 yards down the road from the scene on Heronswood Road, but no crews were available as they were taking part in the latest round of FBU strikes. Hearts Fire and Rescue said it took 10 minutes for an alternative crew to get there. Well, our reporter Justin Dealey is at the scene at Heronswood Road this morning. Good morning to you, Justin.
Hello, Ian.
Justin, just remind us of the background to this. What do we know?
Well, this happened on Saturday afternoon at around 2 o'clock. The house is completely gutted. It's a three-bedroom house. Now, it's our belief, certainly over the weekend, from what we were hearing, that the local fire brigade from 400 yards away from this property, they didn't attend because they were on strike. Well, I arrived here this morning, Ian, at about 6:30, and there's a group of locals outside the property, 4 adults and 4 children, and they are furious about this because what they're saying is this is not, in actual fact, the truth.
Oh, what are they saying happened?
They are saying the local fire brigade, they were here. Now, they haven't spoken to anybody else apart from me. We asked them a few questions, and this is what happened. So, madam, you're here this morning. Tell us exactly what happened on Saturday, because you're telling me that the local fire brigade from, 400 yards away, they were actually here.
Yes, they were here. They did a fantastic job.
They come running with their boots, their gear, everything, and they just put it on and they went in. They were fantastic. Couldn't have faulted Welling. They were brilliant.
And that's why you're here this morning, because you're very angry about what's been reported by the media.
Yes. We've had media here quite often over the weekend. We want to get our point out that, yes, Welling were here. Yes, Welling did a fantastic job. That even the police force did a fantastic job. And as a community, we will rebuild this family. We will give the family donations, which are coming in now. Money's been given, clothes have been given, and we will rebuild this family.
If film crews turn up today, will you tell them where to go?
Yes, we will be. We will be. We've been here since 4:30 this morning, and we'll be here all day if we have to.
So GMTV, were they here yesterday, is that correct?
Yes, they were here yesterday.
Were they due back this morning?
Yeah, they were coming back this morning, but we said we were going to stay here all day.
So you're here to stand up for the local fire brigade, to protect the community, and you just want people now to leave this family alone?
Yeah, we would like them to be left alone and that they can get on with their lives.
So they, of course, have seen many film crews here over the weekend. Film crews due back this morning. They've been there since 4:30 a.m. They are prepared to stand there all day, as long as it takes, to make sure the media go away. I'm very grateful to those people for actually talking to me. But again, just to confirm, they are saying that the local fire brigade will 100%, they were definitely here on Saturday and throughout the weekend.
Do we know if they turned up in their fire engines, or did they leg it down? Do we know any more details about the local fire brigade turning up?
Well, according to locals, and again, I'm still in the local area, lots of people coming up to the radio car here. According to the locals we spoke to there a moment ago, they came running out of the fire station. Right. Somebody said to me a number of the roads were blocked off. Fire engines did arrive here, so they couldn't have been the local ones, because they had to come round a different entrance, if you like, to get to the fire. So we know that other fire crews were here over the weekend as well, but according to the people I've spoken to this morning, the local fire station, they were here and they came running out of the fire station to the building, trying to save that poor man's life.
OK, we're going to be putting calls in this morning to the relevant authorities and bodies to see if we can find out a little bit more. I know there is an investigation going on, so I'll be surprised if we get much detail from them. How is the house looking this morning, Just?
It's completely gutted, Ian. I mean, it's a terrible sight. Obviously, what happened here over the weekend was incredibly tragic. Lots of people knew this man, and the house is completely gutted. It's in ruin, but the local people here just want the media to leave them alone now, so the local community can grieve in peace.
Justin, thank you very much. We'll speak a little bit later on in the show, of course.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I suppose lots of you sports fans are getting, can't say that, very excited now. Are these next 2 weeks, this must be like sport porn for you, Spawn. What? Why are there... Here's a joke. Can I tell... I need to check with Catherine to see if I can tell this joke. She just said no. OK, right, fine, I can't. The punchline is frog spawn. I can't tell that one? OK, all right, that's fine. That's fair enough. You can probably work backwards from that. But these 2 weeks must be like sport porn for you guys. You've got apparently, even though England are out, the World Cup is still going on. It's crazy. And then you've got the tennis as well. Flip it. They better be showing normal programmes. I better be able to find EastEnders and Coronation Street when I want to, on the proper channels. None of this programming is continuing on BBC Two nonsense. Tony's in Milton Keynes. Tony, are you a sports fan?
Not at all.
Oh, then the next 2 weeks are going to be... If hell is a real place, and there is a chance I may go there, it's going to be the next 2 weeks on a loop.
I'll tell you what, this can tell you how much I like football, by the way.
Go on.
I used to be a supporter of Leyton Orient.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that says a lot.
I know. Did you hear last week that Leyton Orient had crowd trouble?
No.
Yeah, trouble getting one as usual.
But I'm dum-dum. He's doing football jokes. I don't get them, but I'm laughing because I'm a man and I want to feel part of the scene.
There you go.
Rudeness. Give us. You called him about rudeness, Tony. Tell me your story.
Well, no, it was about what happened to you. You suddenly brought back a memory I'd forgotten all about.
Yeah.
Years ago, I was a freelance photographer, and I was asked to cover an event at the Docklands area.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because of new buildings going up, new things happening. And it got off at one of the stations, I can't remember which now, and you were sort of accompanied by the press and the PR people about this area, about this new building. It was going to be an art exhibition place and everything. So you got off the train and you sort of walked along a prepared route that showed you new gardens they're doing, and like a footpath that went under an underpath into the building.
Yeah.
Now, quite a few people were walking along this pathway. And there were 3 people in front of me at the time. I took no notice of them. But I think they were either Korean. These are women, by the way.
Yeah.
Korean, Japanese or Chinese, that sort of Asian area.
Yes.
And that's only relevant because I can only assume that's because it's a custom in their place.
A cultural thing, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm walking along, and I've always whistled under my breath. Sort of little like, you know...
Meltman style.
Yeah, a meaningless whistle.
Yeah.
And... next thing I heard, one of these girls, I suppose she's about 25, she turned around and she said, "How dare you," she said.
Oh.
"How dare you," she said. "You've got no manners at all. Don't you realise it's an offence in my country, it's rude."
Oh.
And she said, "And you're bringing up the souls of the dead by whistling."
Oh! For Tony, you don't want to bring up the souls of the dead! For crying out loud!
I said, "What?" I said, "You're talking to me?" She said, "Look." And the next thing I know, she then stopped talking English, and it was just a launch and attack. And then she started doing one of these flappy hand slaps over me, you know, on my back, on my face.
She was doing a flappy hand slap on you for bringing up the dead?
Yeah, like women who are trying to fight.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, "Pack it in." And then, because now all the other people near me are looking at me, and I'm feeling really embarrassed. I thought, what's going on here? So I just said, "Look," I said, "whatever it is," I said, "I'm sorry." And I walked past her. And she followed me.
Oh,
the other 2 women sort of stood by. For the next 20 to 30 minutes, she kept on at me, running after me. There was escalators in this place to take you up to the different parts of the building. She followed me up there.
This is insane. There. You should have said, "Look, love, it's a custom in my country to..."
I did. I said, "I don't know what your custom is in your country, but it isn't here," and I was only whistling. And it was just a torrent of madness. In the end, I took shelter in a little shop, and I said to the bloke, "Can I hide in here?" And he said, "What's the problem?" I said, "That woman out there," I said, "I don't know what's wrong with her, but she won't leave me alone. She's shouting at me." And he said, "Well, I'd rather you not, in case she comes in here and causes damage." I said, "Can I just stand behind the back of your freezer here, literally?" And she didn't leave for about 10 minutes.
Tony, thank you very much indeed. But if he was... excellent story. Can we narrow down what Asian country that was, where whistling is bringing up the souls of the dead? Can we narrow that down? Because I'd be keen to find out. I mean, if there were dead spirits walking around, Tony, then fair play. She should have been slapping you. Absolutely right. But 08459 455 555. Ever been told off in a rude way in public?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the speed sensors in Markyate, both directions looking extremely heavy at the moment around the Luton Road. Then the M1 London bound, really heavy in patches between junction 11 for Dunstable and 6A for the M25. We've got queues at the moment between junction 10 for Luton and 9 for Redbourne. The M25 anti-clockwise, very slow between junction 21A for St Albans and 20 for Kings Langley. Also queuing between junction 18 for Chorleywood and 16 for the M40. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 7:17 or thereabouts, Monday the 23rd of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Saville at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence. And dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 hard-earned pounds if they don't keep their dogs on a lead.
BBC Three Counties Radio. BBC BBC Introducing.
This weekend, BBC Introducing put on the biggest shows it's ever done. We brought you 24 gigs in 24 hours. Recorded across beds, hearts and bucks with artists such as Luke Pickett, Alex Bay, and Natasha North. To hear all the performances and watch the videos, go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. BBC Introducing 24 gigs in 24 hours.
BBC Introducing.
He's reminded me there. You know that in foreign countries, animals make different noises. Did you know that, Kelly? In foreign countries, animals make different noises.
Give me an example.
Cocky coco.
What?
Cocky coco.
What animal was that?
That's a cockerel. That's the noise a cockerel makes in Japan.
Oh.
Did you know that?
In Spain, it's cocorico.
You see? Do you know what noise a mouse makes? Choo-choo.
Oh.
But it doesn't. But a mouse makes squeak, squeak. Goes squeak, squeak. We can hear that. So are the Japanese hearing choo-choo? Is that what they're hearing? A cow goes moo moo. Oh yeah, that's the same here. A pig goes boo boo. And a frog goes, get up, get up.
What it kind of does.
Get up, get... What do you think a frog says in English? Because I've nearly divorced my wife over this.
What?
What do you think?
Reddit.
Yeah, because that's the punchline to the joke.
Or ribbit.
It's ribbit.
OK, but it's not gribbit.
No, I didn't say that.
No. No, I know you didn't. My wife thinks it's gribbit.
Oh.
To the point where we actually had a proper argument where I stormed upstairs one night where she stayed watching The Killing.
You need to assess your life.
Did you... How did you settle the argument, though? Did you get a frog?
We didn't.
Got a frog by the neck and said, say it!
There's an uneasy kind of peace in our house, and if that ever comes up again...
Just don't mention frogs.
Gribbit. Who says gribbit? Cats go nya nya.
Oh. In France, a dog goes wow wow.
I love it. You see, I love it. The thing, have we got any Japanese listeners to this show?
I'm sure we might have one.
Can we find have we got any female Japanese listeners? It sounds better. Those things sound better if it's a female Japanese woman doing it.
A female Japanese woman.
Thank you, Kelly.
That's 3 things.
Yeah, so we're looking for 3 very specific things. We are looking for a female Japanese woman. If that's you, 08459 455.
I used to have a female Japanese woman flamenco dancing teacher in Milton Keynes. If she's listening...
That's 6 things.
Kiroko, give us a ring.
That's 3 things too many, I'm afraid. That's 6 things.
Oh.
So, thanks, Catherine. We don't want that woman, specifically don't want that woman to phone. That would be... Korewa dari no kasa desu ka?
Oh,
She's done a great...
Keiki harimasu ka?
Oh, yeah! Great Japanese jokes there, guys. Great Japanese jokes. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, from tonight, cat becomes a Class C drug. Something that won't make much of a difference to most of our lives, but it has provoked an angry reaction in one part of Milton Keynes. The stimulant's leaves are widely used by Somalis living in Fishermead, who called a meeting to discuss the changes this weekend. Here's what Ahmed Hussain told our reporter, Ollie Bayliss.
Because I got stroke before, and now it's helping me. And I don't think if I can stop it. Because if I stop, I got lot of problem in my health. Can't stop.
You had a stroke and you chewed cat to help with the rehabilitation and to give you energy.
Yes, and you see I'm very strong. The people got stroke walking like me? No. But this one helped me, and I hope I'm going to keep it. And this is going to come in. No problem. I hope it's going to come in.
And you'll continue to use it after Tuesday?
Yes, definite.
In a moment, we'll hear from Dr. Axel Klein, a lecturer in criminal justice and policy at the University of Kent. But before that, let's speak to Abukar Awali, a former cat addict who led calls for it to be banned in the UK. Good morning to you, Abukar. Why is banning cat a good idea?
Good morning, Ian. I think the ban card will prevent young people who think because it's legal, it must be safe, from picking up this habit in the first place. I think the ban card will be the end of domestic violence and family breakdown, and so as the suffering of Somali community.
But other drugs are banned, and young people still take them.
I think it's only fair to say the casein and cathinol, the 2 chemicals of cat, are banned in this country, and when you combine them together, for some bizarre reasons, they have remained legal so far in the form of cat. And I think Theresa May was, right to ban cat. And one has to wonder why these drugs ban entire Western world and still remain legal in UK.
What was your experience of using cat, Abukar?
Well, I was young, man. My confidence has gone down. My self-esteem was out, and I was mentally wounded and unemployed, and someone who couldn't wake up daylight and chewing all night and sleeping all day. Someone who has been segregated from society, who has not integrated into the society. I never held a job while I was in cat use, and now, I'm a taxpayer. I see myself part of this society. I'm a proud British man.
Would you have not used cat if it was illegal when you were younger?
I think Somali communities are law-abiding people. They come from the tutorial background. They are very fearful of the authorities. Once you say them it's illegal and the police will come into you, I wouldn't have picked it in the first place. I wouldn't dare.
Abukar, stay there. We're also joined by Dr. Axel Klein. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
You were an expert witness to the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs study, which recommended the plant should not be a controlled substance in the UK. What's your take on this banning of it?
Oh, I think it's really unfortunate. I mean, the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs concluded that the health risks posed by cat did not merit such a drastic measure. As for the sort of suggested take-up of cat by young people, there's no real evidence of that. It's not young people in this country, not young Somalis or young Yemenis who chew cats. It's people more of Abukar's generation, people who've come to this country with a cat habit. Most young people of Somali extraction do not really take up cat. They play around with all sorts of other substances, like most other young people.
Abukar, what's your reaction to that?
Let me just correct Axel Klein. I've never used cat in Somalia. This is my first time I've used cat. And with regards of Advisory Council on Misuse of Drugs, I have a huge respect of what they do. But they are the only such a body in the entire Western world who come up with such a recommendation. Either they have to be more clever than Americans and Germans and other scientists around the world who recommended the total ban of cat, or there must be something else. One has to remember this is an estimated £467 million a business empire for some. So there will always be those who will defending the cause and the business to go on as usual.
Is it true, Axel, that the UK was kind of a hub for cat distribution around the world?
Well, if we look at the various scientific processes assessing the risk posed by cats, the World Health Organization undertook one about 5 years ago and came to the same conclusion as the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs. Now, when cat is exported from Kenya, mainly, that's the main export country, followed by Ethiopia and to a lesser extent Yemen, it travels, all over the world, but legally it travels to this country. And as a consequence, there is absolutely no criminality involved in the importation and distribution of cat in the UK. As soon as it leaves from here, and some of it does, to, let's say, the United States or Scandinavia, where there's sizable Somali communities with a demand for cat, then it becomes a criminal commodity. And it is then trafficked by organized criminals, who after a while start to diversify into other activities. They also start to settle all their disputes by the use of violence. And the price of cat in all these markets has shot up exponentially. I think this is what's going to happen here. I think it's a disastrous policy decision-making where we've just traded in a manageable health problem for one that will have all sorts of consequences in the terms of crime and violence.
Doctor, am I correct? You've tried cat?
Oh, goodness, yes. Like Abukar, and I, like most cat users, like the vast majority of cat users, I never developed a habit, nor did I develop a dependency. And it's unfortunate that these policy decisions are driven by the small minority of people who do lose control, and it's unfortunate, and they deserve all the help that they should get. But it's the tail wagging the dog, and the majority of controlled users are not being consulted and have been ignored in this policy.
And isn't that the thing, Abukar? Dr. Klein has used cat, and I would imagine there are a significant number of people who can use cat without it destroying their life. Do you not think it's unfair on those people, Abukar?
Look, I know Axel Klein very well, and I respect his views. And you cannot base on your judgment on one night trying perhaps few leaves of card. This was a community-driven initiative. Over 72,000 people have signed the petition asking government to ban this drug. It's funny coming from Axel Klein, who comes from a non-affected background, who's been lobbying aggressively. And one has to question what is the motive. It's very well known. Axel is also, campaigning for Norway to legalize cat. I don't know what his motives are, but this drug is a barrier for integration for Somali community. There has been suffering and painful, mothers who have gone through domestic violence and family breakdown. And for us as a community, the best way I can sum up this victory, it's like England winning the World Cup.
Dr. Klein, final word to you?
But I don't think we should personalise it because I'm trying to hold an objective debate. I think that the criminalisation of young Somali men, which will ensue after this, is not going to be healthy for either the Somalis or for the mainstream community. So it's an unfortunate decision that's been taken.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your time this morning. Last voice you heard there was Dr. Axel Klein, lecturer in criminal justice and policy at the University of Kent, and also Abukar Awali, a former cat addict. It's BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the travel news now with Alice.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1M southbound, heavy going around junction 7 for Stevenage. Also on the speed sensors, things starting to look heavy around Kings Langley on the A41 as you head towards the M25. Then on the M1 London bound, slow going between junction 14 for Milton Keynes and 13 for Bedford. Also looking very slow between junction 10 for Luton and 9 for Redbourne. The M40 London bound, heavy going between junction 5 for Stokenchurch and 4 for High Wycombe. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. Unions say striking firefighters were not at a nearby station at the time of the blaze. A police and fire service investigation is underway. A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Savile at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence. The NHS say the Stoke Mandeville report won't be published until the autumn. And dog owners in Central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wimbledon starts today with reigning champion Andy Murray first on centre court.
I expect to be nervous. I expect to feel the pressure as I'm sort of going towards the court. I hope, when I walk out there that, I can enjoy it for a few moments. And then, like most nerves and stuff, once you actually get out there after the first couple of games, you start to settle into the match.
At the World Cup, Roy Hodgson is promising changes for England's final game against Costa Rica tomorrow. Frank Lampard is expected to captain the side. Steven Gerrard has called on Harry Redknapp to name names after the QPR boss claimed players tried to avoid England duty when he was in charge at Tottenham.
They must be players who Harry Redknapp knows. I've never come across players like that. Certainly the group that I'm surrounded by, it means everything to them to be out here.
Last night, Portugal scored a stoppage-time equaliser to draw 2-2 with the USA and keep their hopes alive. Belgium are through to the last 16 after beating Russia 1-0, and Watford's Ased Belkalim was a late sub for Algeria in their 4-2 win over South Korea. Today it's Holland versus Chile and Australia against Spain at 5, with Cameroon versus Brazil and Croatia against Mexico at 9. Lewis Hamilton was second in the Austrian Grand Prix but was beaten again by teammate and championship rival Nico Rosberg. Hamilton now trails Rosberg by 29 points, but had started 9th on the grid.
I had an incredible start, very, very happy with the job the team and I did together to get that launch. I mean, I don't really know where it came from, but it was awesome.
For the Milton Keynes Red Bull team, Daniel Ricciardo was 8th and Sebastian Vettel didn't finish, leaving team boss Christian Horner to describe engine supplier Renault's performance as unacceptable. Sri Lanka will start the 4th day of the second cricket test at Headingley on 214 for 4 in their second innings. They lead England by 106, and in the Minor Counties Championship at High Wycombe, Buckinghamshire are 44 for 2 in reply to Cambridgeshire's 475 for 7. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR, you'll see me sitting outside a cafe. Yes, it's a very, very nice scene, but why am I pulling an Orquado face? Well, because I had just been told off by a woman sitting behind me, behind the glass, in a rather rude manner, because I had my back to the glass. It was very awkward, it was very uncomfortable. I went and spoke to her afterwards and said I thought she'd been quite rude in the way that she'd done this. Thank you. But was I doing anything wrong? The majority of you on Facebook seem to agree that no, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was doing nothing inappropriate by sitting with my back to the glass. Also asking, have you ever been told off or told someone off in the streets? Mark has emailed him. Iain.lee@bbc.co.uk. I had an awkward moment Saturday evening. I was standing in front coach on a train from Euston back to Bletchley, as it was busy, when at Watford, 2 young lads, no more than 13, got on and stood near me. As we got through the Watford tunnel, one asked me, is this going to Hemel? I said yes. They then discussed between them, shall we pull the emergency lever? And within a couple of minutes they pulled it, and the driver was calling through the speaker. I grabbed hold of one of these lads and said, you've now held up the passenger on this train in not so polite terms. I then answered the driver as he was asking, was there an emergency? I said, no, 2 lads had pulled the lever. When the lads got off, they put up 2 fingers to the driver. The rest of the passengers just sat quiet and let me get on with trying to have a go at these 2. Here's something. OK, here's a phone in for the rest of the show. Ever pulled the emergency lever on a train or ever pushed a fire alarm or the stop button on an escalator? I know, it's quite a broad one. Can we put that out there? Always been tempted to, not for naughty purposes. I've always thought, oh gosh, if someone ever needed to do that fire alarm, I hope it's me. I mean, I hope it wouldn't need to, but you know. 08459 455 555. Ever had to use an emergency facility at short notice? 08459 455 555. Hey, dog owners! Get over yourselves. If you walk your dog in central Bedfordshire, you could soon be fined 80 of your hard-earned pounds for not keeping your animal on a lead. The council wants to introduce the change to try to curb irresponsible owners, but the new powers don't stop there. Dogs could be excluded from certain countryside sites, and in some places where you can still walk your dog, the lead will have to be 2 metres long. Well, Ryan O'Mara is the editor of Canine magazine and a former professional dog trainer. Morning, Ryan. This is going to be good news for everyone, hasn't it?
No, it's a load of nonsense, really.
Oh, tell me why.
Well, basically, it's one of these things that we have a habit of doing in this country where we've already got laws in place that we seemingly can't enforce. So we come up with new little tiny bits of legislation that are designed around those laws that we've already got. So, for example, if I have a dog in a public place and it's off the lead and it's acting in a dangerous manner, that's against the law. Now, if nobody's there to enforce that, i.e. a dog warden, then you saying to me I can't have my dog off the lead won't really matter, because whether it's off the lead or on the lead, behaving well or behaving badly, if there's nobody to enforce it, then you've got a problem. So when we see legislation like this, what we're actually saying is it's really bad for dog owners to allow their dogs to foul and not clean up. I agree. You should fine them thousands of pounds for that. It's really bad for dog owners to let their dogs be off the lead and be a menace to the public. I agree. That's against the law. Prosecute it. Job done.
I can see you. I can understand what you're saying. If there's no one to enforce these laws, then what's the point of having them? But that shouldn't be a reason for not making laws, should it?
Well, I agree, but I don't see the point in making laws when there is already a law. But by all means, make a new law. So it's a bit like the whole, selling alcohol to under 18s. We come up with loads and loads of new different things, but it's already against the law. Enforce it. So when it comes to dogs, there's actually another law called the Animal Welfare Act 2006, which says you have to allow your dog to act in a natural manner. Now, my dog's natural manner is having a run around at the park. Fortunately, I believe I'm a responsible dog owner and would never allow my dog to impinge on anybody else's enjoyment of that park, but not everybody is the same. And I would love to see a dog warden down there handing out fines left, right and centre for the people who make it unpleasant for non-dog owners. That's already the law, but nobody enforces it.
So these changes that the council want to make, it would make it illegal for a dog to be off the lead anywhere in Bedfordshire. Is that right? Even in like a country park or a field or something like that?
No, but it gives them the right to make it illegal in different places.
Right.
So, for example, on a football pitch, nobody wants to play football and have to be dribbling around dog mess.
No.
That's not going to improve your skills that much.
No.
But ultimately, it's already against the law. So my issue is, if you actually want to make life better, what we need is to spend money on more dog wardens who can enforce the current laws that we've already got, which in my opinion are perfectly okay in respect of antisocial dog owners, not sort of come up with a whole new layer of legislation, which if not enforced will leave us in the same boat, but with new legislation.
Most dog owners, I mean the majority of dog owners of course are responsible and they have good pets that, that aren't particularly going to cause a problem. And I suppose that the people that this law or laws like this are aimed at, they won't give a monkeys, will they?
That's true enough. And so it's those people who ultimately we need to crack down on. And I speak as a dog owner and also as a dog owner who pays his taxes. So those green spaces are equally paid for by dog owners. So there is a kind of a bit of an anti-dog owner sentiment. And in many cases, when I go to my park, the only people down there are dog owners. But there are good dog owners and bad dog owners. Believe me, bad dog owners annoy other dog owners as much as non-dog owners. And so I would have no problem if we actually said, we've got laws in place, they've been around for a while, let's crack down on people. So dog mess, people who don't clean up after dog mess, a £50 fine is not going to cut it for me. Fine them $2,000 and then they'll think about it.
People are scared, aren't they? That we've had so many stories over the last few years of people being attacked and being killed because of dogs. I know it's a minority, but they are terrifying stories. We do need something, don't we, to put the public's mind at ease?
We do, and I mean, I feel terribly sorry for people who are frightened to go to their local park to take their kids for a walk on a summer day because there's some idiot with a dog that's on his mobile phone and the dog's running off. And it might even be a well-behaved dog and it's just running up, but not everybody wants a dog running up to them. You know, children can be frightened of it. So again, that currently, that is against law. To allow a dog to be dangerously out of control in public is a breach of the Dangerous Dogs Act. But if there's nobody there to do anything about it, then no matter what new legislation we come up with, we'll be in the same boat. So if they want to fix it, get some more money, get some more dog wardens, and start prosecuting those type of people, then I think we'll all be happy.
Hey, Ryan, do you remember in this... I don't know how old you are. I'm going to make the horrible assumption you're about the same age as me. Do you remember in the 70s when dogs used to walk themselves? Do you remember that? On the estate where I lived, there were always a couple of dogs that were just out walking themselves and they go home in the evening.
They must have been the same dogs that left the white dog turds as well.
Exactly, those were the fellas.
They've disappeared.
Ryan, how's your cat doing?
She's doing well. She had a fight with a mouse last night, and the mouse actually survived.
Wow.
So, I think I've got to have words with her about that.
Yeah.
To be honest, the one thing I'll say, before I had a cat, I never had a mouse in my house. Since I've had a cat, I get a mouse almost every other night. So this myth about them clearing mice is rubbish.
They're bringing them in. They bring them in. My cat does the same. We only get mice when she brings them in from outside. Ryan, thank you very much. Ryan O'Mara, editor of K9 magazine. Always good to have him on. I believe he is now our show's unofficial dog correspondent, which is excellent stuff indeed. Although I do suggest get rid of the dogs when they're old and they go off naturally and just keep the cats. Priya's in Royston. Good morning, Priya.
Good morning.
You want to talk about confrontations? Can you believe this woman had a go at me? It was so embarrassing.
Oh, must have been. And it's just out of the blue. It's so rude.
It was really rude. Horrible woman.
And they're bullies, they are. They're natural bullies.
And this is why I went and spoke to her afterwards. This is new me. I went up to her, I took her to one side, I didn't do it in front of everyone, and I just said, look, I think what you did there was very, very rude. If she'd have come out and tapped me on the shoulder and said, look, can I have a word with you, please? I would still have thought her request was nuts. But she embarrassed me, she embarrassed Paul and Catherine, she embarrassed the wait. It was just showing off. Anyway, what's happened to you?
Well, my mother was in hospital, and unfortunately, she was at the dying stage, and so I went to visit her with my auntie, and I went back into the car park and my phone rang, and it was my employers, so they were kind of asking what was happening and so forth. And this woman just bashed on my window and screamed at me to get out of my space, get out of the space and get out, because she needed it. She's late for an appointment.
No.
So I was so surprised and sort of like a little bit shocked that I reversed out of the space and let her park. But then I thought about it afterwards. I thought, no, I'm not having that. So I got out of the car and I bashed on her window, and poor little granny was shaking in the back, and she locked the door straight away. She flinched like the other lady did to you.
Yeah.
And she just flinched, and I screamed at her, and I said, how dare you? How dare you? That was so rude. I was emotional anyway.
Yeah, of course you were.
And I said, my mother is dying. How dare you? You know? And she was so scared that I actually just walked away. Because I like you, I'm not confrontational, but I felt so compelled to go and say something to her, because it was just so...
Priya, sorry, this was in the hospital?
Yeah, I was at the hospital car park.
Well, you know, you've got to expect that if someone's in a hospital car park, unless they're there for a baby, they're not there for good news, are they?
No. I mean, a lot of people come for their appointments at that particular time of the day. You know, they go outpatients and whatever, but it's not the point, really.
Well, this is very naughty of me, but whenever I get in my car at like a petrol station after I've filled up, or I'm leaving a car parking space, and I see that there is a car that wants to get in where I've been... I really take my time. I don't know why.
You're not one of those, are you?
I really take my time. And I get the CD, and I do my sat nav, and I get my sunglasses, and I put my phone on the side. That's so naughty, but that's what I do.
Oh dear, you're one of those.
I'm one of those. Oh, Priya, listen, I appreciate. I'm sorry, you know, for the I'm assuming your mum's passed now, has she?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's very sad. But thank you for sharing your story with us this morning.
Worries.
Thank you, Priya.
Thanks,
there you
Ian.
go. There we go. What a lovely call. Thank you very much indeed. Laura's in Bedford. Morning, Laura.
Hello, Ian. You okay?
I'm all right, thank you, Laura. What would you like to say?
I can't believe when you were saying about the pressing an emergency buzzer.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I thought, oh my gosh, I actually have a story about.
Oh God, this is what I'm going to ask this morning. Have you ever pressed an emergency alarm, pulled the lever on a train, or pressed the red button at the top of the escalator? What have you done?
And it's really got to be worth it, hasn't it? It's like, it's such an important thing, and it's so like you never touch them. I was on my sister-in-law's hen night, and we were in London.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law, she said that she tripped over at the bottom of the underground escalator, but we all think she turned around to talk to somebody.
Oh right, yeah, that old chestnut.
To this day, she insists that she tripped over at the bottom. We were all behind her. And basically, she turned. We think she turned around to talk to somebody. She went over, and we all went down like dominoes. So we had to press the emergency buzzer. And it was just like, oh my gosh, we're stopping the whole underground.
Fantastic! How exciting! Because you're brought up. Don't go near that button. Do not touch that button.
I know, and I couldn't believe it. But obviously the commuters, the regulars in London, they just stepped over us. They literally just like walked over us as we were all tumbling to the floor like dominoes.
Oh, for goodness sakes!
And we actually named a cocktail after that evening.
Go on.
Virgin Tumble.
Virgin Tumble. Laura, and when you press the button, does the escalator suddenly just stop immediately, and everyone kind of?
And it's like, oh my gosh, we stopped the whole of London.
What?
Also, my little boy's trying to talk as well.
How old's your little boy?
Rocco. Rocco is 9.
Can I have a word with Rocco?
Rocco, do you want to speak to Ian? Yeah.
Yeah, come on, let's speak to Rocco. Forget the travel. We're going to go to Rocco.
Here, just one moment.
Hang on.
Here, Rocco. Hi.
Hey, Rocco, how you doing?
Can you hear him?
Rocco?
Do you want me to put it on loudspeaker?
Put it on loudspeaker. Rocco, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good.
Well, what's your mum like? Is she a good mum?
Yeah.
Does she have any things about her you don't like? What's her cooking like? Is she a good cook?
Am I a good cook?
Yeah.
Oh! It sounds like he's got a gun to his head. Rocco, are you off to school today?
School. Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, you go and have a good day, and well done for coming on. Thanks a lot, and try not to eat too much of your mum's food, all right?
Say bye.
Thank you, Rocco. Ta-ta!
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the speed sensors, the Clop Hill roundabout, all approaches looking very heavy at the moment. Also on the M1 London bound around junction 14 for Milton Keynes, things looking slow. Extremely heavy at the moment between the Toddington services and junction 10 for Luton, with some queues just before you reach junction 11. The M40 London bound also slow between junction 5 for Stokenchurch and 4 for High Wycombe. Then the M25 anti-clockwise, very slow between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 16 for the M40. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Alice. 7:47, Monday, the 23rd of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Saville at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence. And dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of up to 80 of your hard-earned pounds if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Some cloud around at the moment, but it is fairly high. We're already starting to see some brightness, some breaks in the cloud, and that's the story of the day. Just patchy clouds, sunny spells and things feeling warm. The wind quite light as well, and the temperature could get up to 22 Celsius. As we head through the latter part of the afternoon into this evening, through rush hour perhaps, we could get one or two potentially very heavy, thundery showers. They're not going to last for too long, but they're going to produce quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. They'll dry out eventually. We'll get some clear spells overnight. That could lead to a bit of mist developing. Minimum temperature 13 Celsius for tomorrow. The mist will lift. We'll have some sunny spells, perhaps a shower at lunchtime, but a maximum temperature of 22 Celsius, so still feeling warm on Tuesday. And that's your forecast.
Ever pushed an emergency alarm? Ever stopped an escalator? Ever been stuck in a lift? 08459 455 555.
Imagine a radio station with no music.
What's your favourite biscuit?
Imagine a programme without conversation.
Listen to me, I'm really important.
Imagine an afternoon with no local stories.
Hundreds of miles away, something really impressive is happening.
Sounds pretty boring. Which is why we have Nick Coffer.
BBC Three Counties Radio, Nick Coffer, here until 3 o'clock.
Every weekday he'll bring you the music.
Gallagher and Lyle, I Want to Stay With You. Every breath you take, that's the police.
The conversation.
His dedication to local musicians has led him to starting Papermouth.
And the local stories.
Today we're going to be looking at the work of the Bedford and Milton Keynes Waterways Trust.
Say no to boring afternoons and listen to Nick Coffer. Weekdays from midday here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I love the way this show evolves. We've taken what happened to me on Friday, where I got rollocked by a really rude woman of no fixed accent for sitting with my back against the window. It was the only reason I'm kind of going on about it is it made us so uncomfortable, didn't it, Catherine?
Because we couldn't quite work out what her beef was.
No, her beef was not clear.
But she seemed to be enjoying it.
Her beef was she was a bully and she liked bullying people.
Hey, if you sit next to a window with a table on the other side of it, people are going to sit there.
Yeah. Someone on Twitter has said what I rightly said. Don't go to Paris. Don't go. That's it. You don't go to Paris. And from that, we got an email from Mark who confronted two young lads who were who pulled an emergency cord on a train. So we're now asking: ever pulled an emergency cord? Ever hit the button to stop an escalator? Ever set off a fire alarm? Ever been stuck in a lift? 08459 455 555. Janet's in Chestnut. Morning, Janet.
Good morning, Ian.
Janet, what's your story?
Well, I've been stuck in a lift many a time, and usually there's nobody comes to answer the bell.
How many times have you been stuck in a lift? I've never been stuck in a lift. It's one of my fantasies.
Oh, well, one particular time it was in an old building. It was one of those lifts with the sliding metal door, the sort of trellisy one.
Yeah.
And it often got stuck on the top floor, apparently. But me being the temp, I didn't know that. And the top floor was like on the back stairs, and it was, well, the only lady's loo was on the top floor as well. Dear. So that's where I was going. And I was stuck there ringing the bell until in the end somebody came. But if you did get stuck, I found out somebody had to open it from the other side. It was very weird.
So you were desperate for a wee-wee and you were stuck in a lift. That's got to be the worst scenario.
Yeah, other times just the lift has stopped and nothing much has happened, and I opened the little cupboard on the wall for the emergency phone, and that just had wires.
Oh, no.
I'd say about 4 times I've been stuck in a lift.
You must have had some of my lift stucks then, because I've never been stuck in a lift, ever.
It was a pleasure, Ian. I'll do it any time for you.
Thank you for taking one for the team. But you've hit an emergency button, have you?
Yes. When I lived in Kent, I lived in Gillingham, the commuter train was quite long, and this particular night the guard pulled up at the wrong stop and left a couple of carriages in the tunnel. So, because we could just about see everybody getting out, and we realised what had happened. And as he started to move out again, I pulled the cord, and we all just ran off the train and ran away.
Like naughty teenagers.
Pretty much, but we all wanted to get home. We'd had enough by then.
Yeah.
And I've also done the escalator thing.
Oh, Janet, you've lived the schoolboy's life. This is wonderful. Why did you have to do the escalator thing?
I was in Maidstone, and I was going into the big shopping centre there.
Yeah.
And just about to get on the bottom. It's on about 3 levels.
Yeah.
It's on a hill, so I was right at the bottom. And an elderly gentleman in front of me, I don't know if he tripped or collapsed, but he just, went down before my eyes. And so I just banged the button because it was on the bottom. If the button had been, I don't know if they have one top and bottom, I don't know, but the button was right in front of me, so I just banged it.
Yeah.
And some people come running out from a shop and started to, see to him, so I just walked past him and went on.
Janet, you are... May I say, Janet, I think you might be a troublemaker. I think you might be a very naughty troublemaker bringing these things upon yourself.
Well, okay, some people say I can start fighting an empty house.
But you are... Thank you so much for... I'm teasing, of course. You're a good sport. Thank you, Janet. Why? You know when escalators are broken, and we'll do this, but you know when escalators are broken, why do they close them off? Because a broken escalator is just stairs.
Yeah, but they're pointy, and you don't know when they're going to start up again.
But it's just stairs.
Stairs with a...
serrated edge.
Serrated edge.
Fun stairs, I like to call them. Now, thank you very much for that, Janet. Excellent call. Back in May, when we told you that the local gay bar had commissioned a statue to honour the Bletchley Park code-breaker, Alan Turing. OK, that sentence doesn't make sense, but there's a bit of that sentence missing. But the mathematician was chemically castrated after being found guilty of homosexual activity in 1952. He'd called the police to a burglary and let slip that he'd had a man stay the night. Which seems incredible, doesn't it, in 2014, that happened? Well, today the statue will be unveiled at Pink Punters in Fenny Stratford, just a short distance from Bletchley Park. Our reporter, Justin Dealey, asked people who've been to the club what they thought of the idea.
Well, first of all, sir, Alan Turing. Have you ever heard of Alan Turing?
No, I can't say I have.
OK, so you have been to Pink Punters, you've been to the nightclub. What's your thoughts on this piece of art being outside the nightclub? Do you think it will work? Do you think people will respect it and appreciate it?
I think the fact that nobody knows who he is going to be an issue, or could potentially be an issue.
Now,
I think Alan Carr, yes. Alan Turing, not so sure. I didn't know who he is. That said, there should be no reason for anybody to damage it willfully, because it's a respectful monument, I guess, to somebody who's done well, not in this decade, but in a different decade. I think it's a great tribute to somebody that did a great job. However, I didn't know who he was.
But on the whole, you're quite surprised about this, aren't you?
Yes.
Now, listening to that is Larry Neild, one of the project coordinators. Good morning, Larry.
Very good day to you.
Larry, what's happening today?
Well, at 1 o'clock, this, you call it a statue, it's not actually a statue, it's something far more interesting than that, will be unveiled for the world to see. And Pink Punters is, of course, describing this fantastic piece of work as the first in the world to recognise Alan Turing as a gay man. There are tributes around the world to him, not a lot in Milton Keynes, I have to say, but it's all about his work as a code breaker and a scientist and a mathematician. And he died because he was a gay man, and there's nothing to record that fact.
Why is it important to celebrate or commemorate his gayness?
Because he was gay. I mean, if you just turn the clock back to 1885, Parliament was discussing the introduction of a new law aimed at protecting young girls, and it was a law that would raise the age of consent from 14 to 16. And it was really to stop girls from being abducted or exploited. On the very last day that this was going through Parliament, one of the MPs just jumped up and introduced an amendment. The MPs were faced with a dilemma. If they resisted this amendment, the bill would run out of time and wouldn't happen. So they accepted it, and that bill actually made it illegal to be homosexual.
And there will be young people listening who will find it incredible that it was illegal for two blokes to kiss each other and be in love. It does seem incredible. That we're describing it as a statue, Larry, because I ain't got a clue what it looks like. Come on, give us some hints. What's it going to be?
It's going to be a very colourful and very powerful work of art that will be very robust, and it will stand facing Watling Street at Venice Stratford, and it will feature Alan Turing, the very colourful gay pride rainbow, and some very, very interesting words. It will be a very strong picture. In that way.
What words will be there?
Well, just really. The words, there won't be any words about him apart from some factual matters around the edge. And when people look at this work, and we reckon that tens of thousands, if not millions of people will view this, it will just give some very, very clear and concise details about what happened to Alan Turing. Winston Churchill said that Alan Turing saved thousands and thousands of lives because of his code-breaking work at Bletchley Park. Even when he was prosecuted in 1954, as you mentioned, 1952 rather, when you mentioned it before, he didn't spill the beans. He kept his work secret. Fascinatingly enough, his work with the Enigma code-breaking machine was really never revealed to the public until 1974, 20 years after his death.
Larry, it's an incredible story. I hope the unveiling goes well today. I think you've got good weather, so it should do. And I look forward to seeing what that's like.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Olney on the speed sensors, there are queues on the A509 as you go through the centre of town and approach the M1. Also on the sensors between Leighton Buzzard and Wing, the Wing Road is heavy going in both directions just as you go through the area with the roadworks. The M1 London bound, very heavy at the moment around the Toddington services. Also looking really slow between junction 11 for Dunstable and 9 for Redbourne. The M25 anti-clockwise, slow between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 16 for the M40. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much. So, the thing that seems to have grabbed your attention, confrontations in the street, and ever had to press an emergency button, a fire alarm, the red button at the top of the escalators, and ever been stuck in a lift. 08459 455 555.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: man dies following blaze during latest fire strike. Stoke Mandeville report into Savile abuse delayed. An MP criticises decision to bail Luton jihadist.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A man has died in hospital following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. A fire station about 400 yards away from the blaze in Heronswood Road was not manned at the time. The Fire Brigades Union has told BBC Three Counties there was no request to recall firefighters, but unions say strikers who were nearby were alerted and responded. Residents are keen to praise crews who tried to save the man.
They were here. They did a fantastic job. They come running with their boots, their gear, everything, and they just put it on and they went in. They were fantastic. Couldn't have faulted Welwyn. They were brilliant.
A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Savile at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence. 3 major investigations were launched at Stoke Mandeville, Leeds General Infirmary and Broadmoor Hospital. NHS reports into all 3 were expected this week, but the NHS say the Stoke Mandeville report won't be published until the autumn. A former top MI6 official says the security services will never be able to monitor all the British men who return home after fighting in Syria. Meanwhile, the North East Bedfordshire MP and former Foreign Office Minister Alistair Burt has condemned a decision to bail a Luton man with links to radical Islam who was facing an assault charge and fled to join fighters in Syria.
That, in hindsight, plainly looks like an error of judgment. Now the courts need to be very, very alert that if there's anything in the background of a suspect that might lead to this sort of risk, that they should be pouncing on it.
Police are appealing for witnesses after a 56-year-old pedestrian from Hatfield was killed in a road crash in the early hours of Sunday morning. The crash happened just after 1 a.m. on the A1000 Great North Road, close to Frenchhorn Lane, and involved the man, a car and a motorbike. Dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. The council says the changes are part of a series of measures to rein in irresponsible owners. They also want to ban dogs from all enclosed children's play areas and certain countryside sites. Major roadworks begin at the Black Cat roundabout in Bedfordshire this morning. Construction is expected to last around 6 months, as Lee Agnew reports.
More than £5.5 million is being spent improving the junction of the A1 and the A421, which is backed up with congested traffic on a regular basis. The scheme will see the existing roundabout enlarged with new drainage and lighting. Overnight road closures and traffic restrictions will only come into force in September after work on land next to the junction is completed.
In sport, Wimbledon starts today with reigning champion Andy Murray first on centre court. The weather staying warm and sunny, but with a chance of a thundery shower later, a maximum temperature 23 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's a small village so that everybody knows everybody else more or less.
It's all about where you live.
It's friendly. There's still a lot of community spirit here.
And all this week we're featuring Welwyn and Digswell.
The quiet sort of feel of it, the fact that it still feels nice and sort of local even though we're close to big towns.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Get in there, get in there. Morning! Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Monday! It's Monday. And you know what? It's all downhill from here. It's nearly winter. Summer's nearly over, isn't it?
No?
Yes,
it
is.
Started, hasn't it?
No. We're on the wane.
No,
we were on the wax.
Oh,
Saturday was the pinnacle. Now we're on the wane.
Solstice.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it?
Oh, no, equinox. Which one was it?
Panorama.
Oh.
It's but summer is drawing. The nights are drawing in, aren't they? Aren't they? Yeah.
Don't be so negative. Let us enjoy this.
No way. I'm not enjoying it. You're not going to enjoy it, baby. You're not going to enjoy it. How'd you like them apples?
Bitter.
Bitter and twisted, isn't it? Coming up, we'll have the latest on the fire that happened at the weekend during the fire brigade strike. We'll find out exactly what went on. Cat has been banned. What is cat? Cat is drug. Get you high. You want some shisha? And also, ever pushed an emergency alarm, the red button at the top of an escalator, or been stuck in a lift? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
In the world. Sad story, a man has died following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City. There's a fire station 400 yards down the road from the scene on Heronswood Road. I don't know why I'm having such trouble saying that this morning, but no crews were available as they were taking part in the latest round of FBU strikes. Well, that's according to Herts Fire and Rescue. But the neighbours who spoke to Justin Dealey earlier this morning dispute that.
So, madam, you're here this morning. Tell us exactly what happened on Saturday, because you're telling me that the local fire brigade from 400 yards away, they were actually here.
Yes, they were here. They did a fantastic job. They come running with their boots, their gear, everything, and they just put it on and they went in. They were fantastic. Couldn't have faulted Welling. They were brilliant.
And that's why you're here this morning, because you're very angry about what's been reported by the media.
Yes. We've had media here quite often over the weekend. We want to get our point out that, yes, Welling were here. Yes, Welling did a fantastic job. That even the police force did a fantastic job. And as a community, we will rebuild this family. We will give the family donations, which are coming in now. Money's been given, clothes have been given, and we will rebuild this family.
If film crews turn up today, will you tell them where to go?
Yes, we will be. We will be. We've been here since 4:30 this morning, and we'll be here all day if we have to.
So GMTV, were they here yesterday, is that correct?
Yes, they were here yesterday.
Were they due back this morning?
Yeah, they were coming back this morning, but we said we were going to stay here all day.
So you're here to stand up for the local fire brigade, to protect the community, and you just want people now to leave this family alone?
Yeah, we would like them to be left alone and that they can get on with their lives.
Well, Justin has been there all morning. He's still there. So, Justin, those neighbours are convinced the current account of what happened isn't true, and so they're standing outside the house to let people know this, aren't they?
Yep, they are still there, absolutely furious about what's been reported over the weekend. I actually went and spoke to them about 10 minutes ago. When I walked down the road to talk to them, I was being filmed. They will be here throughout the day, very angry with certain TV crews who are apparently showing absolutely no respect whatsoever to the local community. So they said to me they will stay here for as long as it takes.
OK, and it's very confusing. We're making frantic phone calls here to various different bodies to try and get their accounts of what happened. And you've spoken to someone else this morning who's got another take on what happened. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously in a second we'll update our listeners on what Hearts Fire is saying, also the FBU. But I spoke to Patrick as well. He lives opposite this house.
Well, it was about 2 o'clock when my lodger come down from outside and said, look, over the road there. And all I seen was black smoke pouring out the top of the house. And the time I got out the door, opened the door and got out, there was a load of people standing around there, running around, fighting for ladders and all that lot. And then, in the end, I just went down the bottom road and started diverting traffic. And it was about 45 minutes before the fire brigade turned up.
45 minutes?
Yeah. And it was the Welling Garden City one in the end, because it came up Saunders Road. And was it Hertford, Stevenage and all the others were there.
It's been reported over the weekend that your local fire service, Welling Garden City, 400 yards away from this fire, they weren't there, but again, you can confirm they definitely were there at the weekend.
They turned up, but they came up Saunders Road unless they were out on another shout somewhere, but they did turn up in the end, because they were the first ones on the scene, and then the Hertford one and the Hemel one followed on after that one.
But again, you're saying 45 minutes for any fire service to be there on the scene?
Yeah, for the size of the way that house has gone up, for 45 minutes, that's gone up a long time for someone to be there, for the fire station to be just down the road.
I mean, there are a group of locals outside the property trying to protect the community. Did you know this man who sadly died?
No, I don't know. I know we lived across the road and I didn't know him all that well, not to talk to or anything like that. So that's the only thing we feel sorry for, that we didn't get to know the person in there.
But the community, people did absolutely everything they could to try and save him.
Yeah, there was people trying to get into the house to grab people out of it, but the smoke was so bad, but they had to be pulled back in the end because it was really black, sooty smoke coming out. So people getting hurt, so I think half of them just gave up.
So the words there of Patrick, who lives opposite this house. It's a 3-bedroom house and it's completely gutted in.
Such a sad story. We spoke to Hearts Fire again, Justin. What did they say?
Well, Hearts Fire, they completely dispute what Patrick was saying there. They said the response time was 10 minutes. That's their version of events. Patrick saying 45. Hearts Fire Service saying 10 minutes. We've also spoken to Dale McLeod. He's from the FBU. Now, what he said to us this morning was there was no picket line at Welling Garden City, 400 yards away from this property, but those firefighters that were on strike over the weekend, they took it upon themselves to go to this property and try and save this man's life, which is what the locals outside the house right now have been saying to me. They said they saw firefighters running from the nearby station. They did everything they possibly could, and the FBU, Dale McLeod, backing that up this morning. So people came off strike to go and fight this fire.
Justin, thank you very much indeed. And just to clarify, that house is completely gutted, is it? There's nothing. There's nothing there.
No, I mean, obviously the shell of the house is still there, but the house is in complete ruin. Unfortunately, you are going to see those pictures, I'm sure, throughout the day on various news websites, on social media as well. But the house is cordoned off. It's a sorry state. A man has sadly lost his life, and the locals here trying to do everything they possibly can to try and support the family at this sad time.
Well, good for them for protecting their neighbours and their friends. That's got to be applauded. Justin, thank you very much indeed. It's a very confusing situation. I know, Catherine, you've been kind of running around frantically all morning, phoning up various different people and trying to get a through line of what actually happened.
And I'm not sure we should be completely surprised that the accounts between Hearts Fire and the FBU differ, because at this point it's still very fresh. Hearts Fire would only have issued notice to recall through the FBU if there'd been a massive incident, a major incident such as Buncefield or a derailment. So the fact they haven't done that is why they're saying that no one was sent out from Welling.
We're not in any way suggesting that Hearts Fire is trying to attempt to cover up or to lie. As far as they're concerned,
tell those firefighters to go.
They are telling us the facts as they see them at the moment, and investigations are being carried out internally, aren't they, to see what happened?
And I'm sure Simon from Hearts Fire will get back in touch with me once he's double-checked everything.
Okay, fantastic, Catherine. Thank you very much. Good work from you and Justin this morning. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Dearie me. Dearie me. Kels, you've been quiet this morning, my love.
Hello.
You've been a bit dozy.
Hi, Princess.
What?
Yeah, I got in at 1:30.
Way hardcore! You know the score. That's why you were. That's why you were 15 minutes on time this morning.
I know.
She was 15 minutes on time. What were you doing up so late?
I went to a concert.
Who did you go and see?
Kings of Leon.
Do you remember there was a rumour that the Kings of...
so funny?
They're rubbish. Do you remember there was a rumour that the Kings of Leon were put together by the same guy that put Britney Spears together? Do you remember that?
Britney Spears was put together?
Pretty much.
Was she?
Pretty much. She fell apart. They put her back together again. Was it a good pop concert?
It was great.
I can't... listen, I used to be like you. I used to be able to function on very little sleep. I was in bed at 9:15 last night, lights out, and I woke up feeling shattered, feeling more tired than when I went to B. WIWTB.
Sometimes when you have a small amount of sleep, you just feel more energised.
You do. You can do. That's right. That's right. Everyone's got hay fever.
You can have too much sleep.
No, you can't.
You can.
No, you can't. Yes, you wake up feeling sluggish and wondering what the point of life is and have terrible headache. But apart from that, you can never have too much sleep. Can you, Catherine?
No.
There we go. When you get to our age, which is...
You can't get enough.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Right. 08459 455 555. Kelly, have you ever been trapped in a lift?
Yes, actually.
Tell me your story.
Funnily enough.
After the show. I tell you why, though, because one of the first things Kelly ever told me was her story about being trapped in a lift. And I've heard it about 15 times in the 2 years that I've known you.
Do you know what? My favourite part of it, though, is when the chef tried to get you out with a fish slice.
Go on, because some of the listeners want to know. Go on, what happened?
Stuck in a lift.
And there was a fish slice?
So it was a Dancers in Need, a concert.
Dancers in Need?
Had arranged, yep.
For Dancers in Need?
For children. It's to raise money for children.
We weren't allowed to call it Strictly because Strictly wouldn't let us, even though it's one BBC.
We're the BBC, you suckers!
So we were doing it for children in need.
Yeah, OK. So Dancers in Need.
I was on maternity leave.
Good for you.
But it was Kath's idea, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Come up with a terrible idea.
Came second the year before, got robbed.
Oh, dear.
Oh.
But so how does this relate to a lift?
So Gareth was hosting the night, Gary Floyd, and he was like, and we'll welcome the ladies.
Big entrance in lift.
Yeah.
Big entrance. But none of us could get out because we were stuck. So we could hear Gareth calling us.
Where was this taking place that you were coming out of a lift? What classy establishment?
It was the thingy.
Vauxhall.
No.
The Hat Factory.
Oh, what's it called?
The Hat Club.
Down there.
The chip shop.
Ah.
I always imagined it was here for some reason.
Anyway, so we couldn't get out of the lift because we were stuck.
Right.
So we were banging on the thing. We were like, oh, we're stuck in the lift.
Yeah.
And we finally managed to get us out of the lift. And then for some reason we got back in it.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Travel news.
Great story, guys.
Cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the speed sensors at the Clop Hill roundabout, the A6 heading south, heavy going at the moment. Also, the A1M southbound looking really slow around junction 7 for Stevenage. In Kings Langley, the A41 is queuing as you head towards the M25. And then the M25 itself, anti-clockwise, is still very slow between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 16 for the M40. M1 London bound still struggling between the Toddington services and junction 9 for Redbourne. Public transport, though, no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, my respect, boss.
Thank you very much. It's 8:17. It's Monday, the 23rd of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A man has died in hospital following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighter strike on Saturday afternoon. A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Savile at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence. And dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of 80 of their hard-earned pounds if they don't keep their dogs on a lead.
BBC Three Counties Radio. BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
A beautiful old village with a real community spirit.
And all this week we're featuring Welwyn and Digswell.
It's a bit like Trumpton, the way it was.
Inviting everyone to where you live.
You can get out into the countryside and go walking, cycling, whatever. There's plenty going on.
You've got everything you're likely to want. Cafes, restaurants.
If you've got a story everyone should hear about, let us tell them about it.
Quiet country living in a really convenient location.
It really is a great little place to live.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks from BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon-Smith.
Morning.
Ever been stuck? You were there when Kelly got stuck in the lift with a fish slice, I've been told.
That was hilarious.
Wasn't when she told it, but you... Okay.
I can tell that story much funnier.
Can you?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was everything at Three Counties Radio that we used to do that was in front of the public was always a complete and utter disaster. It was always a fiasco.
Well, you're telling me.
Do you know what I mean? It was always a bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
And this when we did Strictly Come Dancing for Three Counties. I can't remember what we called it now.
Dancers in Need.
That's right, Dancers in Need. I mean, it says it all. And they said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your dancers. At which point the spotlight swung round to these double doors. They opened, and you could just see the owner of the venue with a spatula trying to prise open the door to the lift.
This is like the film Rashomon, right? This is like Rashomon in that I'm getting different sides of the same story now, you see.
Well, Kelly was in the lift, I was outside.
Yeah.
So I saw it all happen. So everyone's head went to expecting this parade of dancers, and all they saw was... And he looked like Uncle Ben. He had a big chef's hat on, because he was the owner of the venue and also the chef, because we got it on the cheap.
Yeah, there's a surprise.
Exactly. So we got it on the cheap. So the owner and the chef was trying to open his own lift doors using a spatula to get the dancers out.
Have you ever been stuck in a lift?
No, I haven't, but my dad has.
Oh, go on.
Well, it was awful, nearly awful. My dad is he calls himself a property consultant.
Right.
Ultimately,
he's
a commercial estate agent.
Right.
So he sells and rents out and lets offices in London. And there was this one particular new office building that they hadn't yet finished it, and he took a client to have a look at this building, and they got to the building at about 5 o'clock on a Friday evening to go and look at it.
Yeah.
And the floor that the client wanted to see was on the top floor, so they went up in the lift. They looked at the floor, and this guy said, "Yeah, it's really really nice." So by the time they'd finished looking at it was about 6 o'clock in the evening on Friday. So they got in the lift, just the two of them, to come down. And as they came down, the lift suddenly jammed in this brand new building.
Oh man!
And of course, all the builders, they'd all gone home.
Yeah.
So they're banging, and the lift wasn't connected up to any emergency or anything. It was in the days before mobile phones, so they're banging on the thing, shouting and screaming. They were in there for about 2 hours, and thinking, well, it's Friday, we're going to be stuck in here the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Thankfully, one of the builders had forgotten his toolbox. He had a job to do the next day, and he came back to the building site, heard the screams and shouts, rescued him.
Isn't that lucky?
That could have been awful. Imagine that. Panic. Imagine the panic of thinking I'm going to be here all weekend.
The thing that would worry me, we've got to move on because I've got a guest coming up in a second, but the thing that would worry me is where I would do my toilets.
Oh.
Which corner?
Exactly, you have to do it in a corner, don't you?
Thank you for that. What's on your show today?
Coming up on the Big Phone In this morning at 9, should dogs be kept on a lead at all times in all public places? I know you've been talking about this morning. It's one of our big local stories. Central Beds Council is considering bringing in fines for people who refuse to keep their dogs on a lead in public places. They hope the threat of an £80 fine will encourage responsible dog ownership. Well, under the new plan, not only would dogs be banned from parts of the countryside, a maximum lead length of 2 metres would be enforced in areas where dogs are permitted. Well, is this necessary? From 9 this morning, I want your calls on this. I want your views, whether you are a dog owner or someone that actually is not very keen on dogs. Do you think that dogs should be kept on a lead at all times in all public places? Do you hate it when you take your children to the park and you see people with their dogs off the lead? Do you hate it when you go off for a cycle ride or a walk in the countryside on some footpath and people have got their dogs off the lead? Or do you think anyone that moans about it, frankly, needs to get a life? If you've got a dog that's very well controlled, a dog that would never ever hurt anybody, and you want to take your dog for a nice walk in the countryside, do you think you should be able to let him or her off the lead? From 9 this morning, your calls please on 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Ta-ra! From tonight, cat becomes a Class C drug, but the move has angered Somalis in Milton Keynes, where it's widely used on the Fishermead estate. Dave told us the ban won't stop them from taking the herbal stimulant, as they believe it's good for their health and gives them energy. But there are concerns cat could make pre-existing mental health problems worse and cause mouth cancers. In a moment, we'll hear from Mark Lancaster, the Conservative MP for Milton Keynes, who was part of a House of Commons committee which voted to endorse the Home Secretary's decision to ban the drug last July. But before that, we can speak to Richard North, the Deputy Area Commander for Milton Keynes. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, Ian.
Richard, how will you enforce this ban on cat?
Well, what we want to do, before we sort of talk about enforcement, is really to try and sort of educate the community and educate people in society that this ban is coming into place, as you say, which actually comes into place tomorrow at midnight. So we've been doing a lot of work to get that message out, and that's why I'm grateful, I've been invited to come on this show, that as of tomorrow, cat does indeed become a Class C drug, and it is illegal to possess that and illegal to supply it to anyone else. Having said that, we are conscious, obviously, up until tomorrow, it has been completely legal to be in possession of it and to use it. So the way we're going to approach this issue is, if we catch someone with it as of tomorrow, and it's the first time they've been caught with it, they'll initially receive a warning, and the items will be seized by the police, and that warning will be recorded. If they caught with it for a second occasion, then they'll receive a penalty notice, and that could be, they'll be subject to a fine of around £60. And then if the behaviour persists, then we'll be looked to prosecute people at that stage. So there's that staged escalated approach.
A caution and a £60 fine on this first and second offences doesn't sound like you're taking it that seriously.
No, well, I mean, officers always have discretion whenever they deal with any offence. That's our broad plan, being mindful of the sort of historical position with cat. But actually, if it links to our other priorities, which concern violence, burglary of houses, that kind of thing, or it's linked to antisocial behaviour, and we have reports of that kind of thing, then there's nothing to stop us skipping to that final sort of stage and looking at a prosecution. But we want to work with the community to get this message out there. We don't want to just catch people out all of a sudden tomorrow. We want to get that information out, and we're an intelligence-led police service, so what that means is we'll respond in a proportionate and appropriate way as it relates to different issues.
We've spoken to Somalis who say the ban won't make any difference. This will just, as with all other drugs and prohibition, this will just drive it underground, won't it?
Well, there's a couple of things to say about that. Actually, there are obviously members of the Somalian community do have historically taken cat, but actually the Somali community has also been pivotal in getting this substance banned and lobbying Parliament, because they've seen the sort of antisocial effects and the effects on in private households and relationships, and they're the ones who really raised the concerns about it. So I don't think it's quite as simple as to say the Somalian community against the ban. Actually,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the Somalis who we've spoken to who use the drug say the ban won't make any difference, and as with prohibition of other drugs, it will just drive it underground, won't it?
Well, I mean, Parliament have made the decision that it's going to become a Class C drug, and they've weighed up all the, the pros and cons of doing that, and they've obviously looked at it in detail. As a police service, we're here to enforce the law. So that's all kind of been balanced out and fought through by Parliament. Then it comes to us to enforce that, and we want to do that in a proportionate way that meets our objectives. The law has to be upheld in general, but also we do prioritise. So when these things link to antisocial behaviour, violence, or acquisitive crime, particularly around burglary, if that ever happens, then this gives us powers to actually look at the cat issue.
OK, Richard, we have to move on. Thank you very much indeed. Richard North, Deputy Area Commander for Milton Keynes, joined by Mark Lancaster, the Conservative MP for Milton Keynes. Mark, I'll put that same point to you. We've spoken to Somalis who use cat, who say this won't make any difference, and like all prohibition with drugs, it does just push it underground, doesn't it?
Well, I think I want to reinforce what Richard was saying there, actually. I mean, let's be absolutely clear. The only reason that I got involved in trying to get this drug banned was because I had a whole series of my Somali constituents come to me in my surgery, women in tears, telling me that this drug was absolutely ripping their families apart. So the real motivation and driver for getting this drug banned has actually come from the majority of the Somali community themselves. And that's why, actually, I'm quite confident, to answer your point directly, that would be a major contributing factor to ensure that this drug simply doesn't go underground. There is a chance of that, and that's something that we have to be aware of. But I think when it's the Somali community themselves who want this drug banned, that would be a major factor in enforcement.
But it will go underground, won't it? Heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, LSD, methamphetamines, all of these drugs are freely available.
Well, I'm not sure that cat will be freely available for a series of reasons. First of all, the amount that's actually being imported into the UK compared to other drugs is relatively small. It's also currently a relatively cheap drug and actually quite voluminous. If you want to have the impact of cat that you want, you actually have to chew an awful lot of it. I mean, we're talking sort of handfuls of this drug. It's not a small drug that's easily concealed, so it's not going to be quite so straightforward. A, to import it, also to acquire it. So, I'm not dismissing it. I'm not saying that there won't be any drugs available sort of on the black market, but I'm saying it's more difficult perhaps than other drugs for reasons we try to explain.
Class C, though, people laugh in the face of Class C, don't they? It's slap on the wrist.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think
people do.
I think Richard North has just explained very clearly what the
a warning first time, £60 fine second time, and then they'll see what happens.
Well, maybe £60 isn't very much to you. I don't know, but what I am saying is that it's a graduated approach, it's a sensible approach, really, given that currently this drug is legal, and that we are now moving to educate people and to encourage people to move off. And there's a way of doing that. The last thing we want to do is to alienate a community. So personally, I think it's a perfectly sensible approach.
Why did you ignore the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs, which recommended the plant shouldn't be a controlled substance in the UK?
Well, their view was just one of several factors. I think one of the biggest problems we faced, actually, is because it isn't used extensively across the UK, there is a lack of evidence when it comes to health grounds.
So you ignored the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs?
We haven't ignored it, because the first point to make is that the ACMD themselves had a split decision, and that's simply one factor. Other factors, for example, which were taken into account by the Home Secretary and influenced the decision, is that we will now be, had we not banned it, we would have been the only country in Northern Europe not to have done so, and there were great fears that we will end up becoming a smuggling hub for the rest of Europe, and that would be a very bad thing for us here in the UK. So health is one thing, but it's not the only thing.
Finally, Mark, you think this will make a big difference to Somalis who live in Milton Keynes, particularly on the Fishermead estate, do you?
It doesn't really doesn't matter what I think to some extent. I think what matters is what the Somali community themselves think, and certainly from the experience I've had of meeting them in my surgeries, they're very confident that, yes, this will make a big difference to the quality of life in our community.
OK, let's keep our fingers crossed. Mark, thank you very much indeed. Mark Lancaster, Conservative MP for Milton Keynes. 08459 455 555. A little bit late, 8:30. Let's get the travel news with Alice.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Bedford on the speed sensors, the Bromham Road heavy going now as you head towards the centre of town from Biddenham. And the Clock Hill roundabout still really struggling at the moment. All approaches looking very congested. The M1 northbound slow going around junction 13 for Bedford to junction 14 for Milton Keynes. And the London bound carriageway is still slow going between the Toddington services and junction 9 for Redbourne. The M25 anti-clockwise, heavy between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 16 for the M40. Public transport has no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much. Let's get the news now with Simon Oxley.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
The headlines: a man has died in hospital following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighters' strike on Saturday afternoon. The Fire Brigades Union has told BBC Three Counties that striking firefighters who were nearby were alerted and responded. A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Savile at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence, and dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of £80 if they don't keep their dogs on a lead.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Wimbledon starts today with reigning champion Andy Murray first on centre court.
I expect to be nervous. I expect to feel the pressure as I'm sort of going towards the court. I hope, when I walk out there that, I can enjoy it for a few moments, and then, like most nerves and stuff, once you actually get out there after the first couple of games, you start to settle into the match.
At the World Cup, Portugal scored a stoppage-time equaliser to draw 2-2 with the USA and keep their hopes alive. Belgium are through to the last 16 after beating Russia 1-0, and Watford's Assaid Belkalem was a late sub for Algeria in their 4-2 win over South Korea. Today it's Holland versus Chile and Australia against Spain at 5, with Cameroon versus Brazil and Croatia against Mexico at 9. Roy Hodgson is promising changes for England's final game against Costa Rica tomorrow. Frank Lampard is expected to captain the side, but Hodgson wants Steven Gerrard to keep playing for England.
I'd love him to stay. I think he's been absolutely fantastic these 2 years. He's been not only fantastic as a football player, playing for England and doing his job for England as a player, he's been very, very good as a captain. He's really been someone who is always there for the players, both young and old. And for us, we would love him to stay.
Lewis Hamilton was second in the Austrian Grand Prix, but was beaten again by teammate and championship rival Nico Rosberg. Hamilton now trails Rosberg by 29 points. For the Milton Keynes Red Bull team, Daniel Ricciardo was 8th. Sebastian Vettel didn't finish, leaving team boss Christian Horner to describe engine supplier Renault's performance as unacceptable. Sri Lanka will start the fourth day of the second cricket test at Headingley on 214 for 4 in their second innings. They lead England by 106. And in the Minor Counties Championship at High Wycombe, Buckinghamshire are 44 for 2 in reply to Cambridgeshire's 475 for 7. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, I've just found the funniest thing on Twitter, at Happy Birth Time, and they wish people happy birthdays. Look at the Danny Baker one from yesterday. I don't know why it's so funny, but it just makes me laugh. It's really... I don't know. No, it's not. I don't know. It might be, yeah. At Happy Birth Time. I can't describe it. It's silly. It says Happy Birth Time to people, gives their incorrect age, and then puts a picture of someone who looks a little bit like them. I just don't know why it's so funny. Oh, dearie me, that's really made me laugh. I do apologise. 08459 455 555. Far be it from me to be entertaining myself on a show like this. You can give us a call this morning. We're talking about dogs on leads. We're also, perhaps more significantly for you, talking, have you ever pressed an emergency alarm? Ever pulled the alarm on a train? Pressed the big red button on the top of an escalator, or ever been stuck in the lift? The dream call, the golden call, which is the ridiculous phrase that we get taught when we go on these ridiculous courses that we're forced to from time to time by people who haven't been doing this job as long as we have, telling us how to do our job. Did I say that out loud?
Yes.
It's true, though. Anyway.
The golden call is what?
Been stuck in a lift with somebody who was having a heart attack.
Wow.
Or a celebrity. Or a celebrity who was having a heart attack. That's the golden call this morning. Catherine, we got 24 minutes. Can we do it?
I doubt it.
I think so. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, dog owners who walk their pets without a lead in central beds could soon face an £80 fine. The council is considering bringing in the penalty to encourage responsible ownership. They may also ban dogs from parts of the countryside and bring in a 2-metre lead law in areas where dogs are welcome. Councillor Budge Wells, Deputy Executive Member for Sustainable Communities in Central Beds, joins me now. Good morning, Councillor. Why are these changes necessary, do you think?
Good morning, Ian. Well, we want to strike a balance between the interests of those in charge of dogs and those affected by the activities of dogs, bearing in mind the need for people to have access to dog-free areas and the need for those in charge of dogs to have areas where they can exercise their dogs quite rightfully.
So, are there any areas where dogs will be allowed to run freely, not on the lead?
Yes, it will be cleared up in the dog control orders exactly where they will be allowed. The existing framework is so fragmented and limited in scope, it doesn't really cover all the areas we want. For example, the current legislation doesn't cover woodland, heath, common land, agricultural land and various other bits. We want to clear all this up so that people with dogs have the right to exercise their dogs in a proper and responsible way, and people who don't want to have dogs near them, there are areas such as playgrounds and other that sort of area where people might not want dogs to approach them or their children.
We spoke to the editor of K9 magazine earlier on, and he said that there are plenty of laws in place to protect animals, animal owners and the public already, but they're not enforced. New legislation is just going to confuse matters.
Well, yeah. As I sort of briefly alluded to just now, the existing legislative framework is just out of scope and doesn't fit the purpose. And the idea of the dog control orders is to clarify all that so that people know quite clearly what sort of protection the public want from dogs and what the rights of dog owners are to exercise their dogs. And that will be cleared up in this consultation that we're going out to at the moment.
Unenforceable, though, isn't it?
Well, we have... it is enforceable. It's enforceable who's going to enforce? People, such as police, and we have 2 dog wardens. So, yes, it is enforceable.
But when was the last time you saw the police walking near a playground or through some woods? If they see a dog that's off the lead and it shouldn't be, or a dog that's on a 3-metre-long lead as opposed to the proposed 2-metre-long lead, yeah. The police and your 2 dog wardens, with the greatest of respect to them, I'm sure they do a great job, they're not going to be patrolling all of the dogs in Bedfordshire, are they?
No, clearly it'll be a question for people who feel that some dog owner is doing something that's clearly in breach of an order, to let the police or the council know about this. And, of course, I realise that that's, asking quite a lot of people, but... in the end of things, we have to do the best we can to protect the public and protect the dog owner. And yes, you're right. We don't have police all over the Central Beds Council area, but our dog wardens do get around, and the members of the public have every right to let us know. and we'll try and do something about it.
Have you spoken to dog owners, Budge? What have they said?
Well, at the moment, what we're doing is we're out to consultation, which is open, right now till the 28th of July. And if members of the public want to take part in this and let us know what they think about what we propose to do, they can get an online questionnaire by going on our website. And it's very easy. You go on centralbedfordshire.gov.uk. If you look on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see Council and Democracy. Click on that, and that will bring up a whole series of sub-menus, one of which is called Consultations. So if you click on that, you can get an online questionnaire, or you can get one from our offices at Watling House in Dunstable, Priory House in Shefford, or if all else fails, call us on 0300 300 5639, and we'll get a questionnaire posted out to you.
So it is a consultation then, Budge. If people disagree with it, you will budge.
We always take notice of what the public tell us on a consultation. After all, that is the best way of finding out what we can do to benefit the public as a whole. So yes, well, listen.
Budge, thank you very much indeed. Councillor Budge Wells, Deputy Executive Member for Sustainable Communities in Central Beds.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
We've been talking all morning about a terribly sad story of a fire in Heronswood Road where a man died. There's a fire station 400 yards down the road from the scene, but no crews were available as there were strikes taking place. Well, we're finding more and more out this morning that... Kath, you just want to clarify exactly what we've discovered, because this morning the original line was nobody went from the
from Welling, which is just down the road,
because of the strike. Yeah. But we've kind of advanced that story here.
Not the case, it would seem. The FBU say that although they're not allowed to be on the premises while they are striking, staff heard about it, they were alerted, and they chose to attend.
Okay.
Now, Hertfordshire Fire don't know about that to be able to confirm that for us. When we phoned them, they said they sent 3 crews from elsewhere because that fire station was out on strike.
Okay.
Now, they're not telling us lies on that one, because what would happen is they would only have the power to recall striking firefighters if there'd been a major incident, like a Buncefield or a train derailment, something of that kind. So they wouldn't call the FBU to recall those firefighters in this case, and the FBU confirmed that they didn't do that.
Okay.
But they can also confirm that firefighters from Welling were in the area and responded to that call.
Okay, and that's an exclusive to this show, because all other outlets are saying that no one turned up from there.
And which has led to fury from the neighbours. They're standing outside to try and set the various media outlets right, because it's just not true to say that Welling firefighters didn't attend.
Well, we're happy to set that straight, and this has all come from the hard work that Catherine and Justin have done this morning, so well done to both of you. We're joined by Rob in Welling. Morning, Rob.
Morning.
Rob, you saw the fire, is that right?
Yes, I did.
What happened? When did you notice it, and what happened?
Basically, it was sort of early afternoon, looking out in the garden, saw quite a large amount of smoke coming up from the distance. Basically, walked down, had a look, noticed the house was pretty well alight. 5 crews were there. And basically it was just a matter of myself and a few other members of the public were assisting with the fire service, helping rolling out hoses to try and get the fire out as quick as possible, really.
You were helping rolling out hoses?
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things. It was myself and, like I say, a couple of other people just trying to get involved, helping out. It's the type of guy I am, really.
Good for you for not being one of those people that stands there and films it on their mobile phone. You know, we need more people like you. I don't suppose you have any idea where these fire people... I always have to resist saying firemen. You're not supposed to say that now. Any idea where these fire people came from?
To be honest with you, no. There was a lot going on. It was busy. The police were everywhere.
Yeah.
Roads were getting cornered off and stuff like that, so there was a lot of situations going on there.
Rob, listen, thank you very much, and, well done you. I've been told, of course, the correct word is firefighters. Well, there always used to be firemen in my day, and I'm one of those people. I'm like my mum now when she, casually drops the P word and things like that, because people did back in her day. And I'm now doing the same by saying firemen and things like that, which you're not supposed to say. My kids will be telling me off one day.
I'm sure the female firefighters have heard it all before.
You do get female firefighters.
Yes,
I thought that was
do.
just in London's Burning.
No, you get them in
Wow.
real life too.
Good for you girls. And what they like make the tea and keep the fire engine clean, do they? They polish the bell, do they, when they're off? Is that what... I don't know. Is that what happens? It's a joke.
The punchline is...
Probably my face, the way you're looking at me. Thank you very much. Rob, thank you very much. We need more people like you going and helping out. What was that for?
Sorry?
Did you say something rude, Kelly?
No.
You sure didn't say something completely inappropriate and unexpected?
Gosh, who would do that?
Kelly Betts, that's who. That's who.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M25 anti-clockwise between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 16 for the M40, slow going. Also the M40 itself, London bound, heavy between junctions 6 for Watlington and 4 for High Wycombe. The M1 London bound, slow between junction 10 for Luton and 9 for Redbourne. And the northbound carriageway on the speed sensors still struggling between junction 13 for Bedford and 14 for Milton Keynes. In Bedford on the sensors, the Bromham Road is very heavy as you head towards the centre of town from Biddenham. Public transport all looking good though, with no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Help, Alice Glossop! It's 8:46. It's Monday, the 23rd of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A man has died in hospital following a house fire in Welwyn Garden City, which happened during the latest firefighter strike on Saturday afternoon. A report into the abuse carried out by Jimmy Saville at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Buckinghamshire has been delayed to gather new evidence. And dog owners in central Bedfordshire could face on-the-spot fines of up to £80 hard-earned pounds if they don't keep their dogs on a lead. Here's the weather.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
We do have a bit of cloud around at the moment, but it will start to thin. It's already starting to do that and break from time to time. We'll get some lengthy sunny spells. It should stay dry for the most part of the day, and the temperature should rise steadily. We're looking at a maximum later of maybe even 23 Celsius in the sunshine. Now, it's as we head through the afternoon into the latter part, into the early evening, the rush hour, we could get one or two potentially very heavy thundery downpours. Could see 15 millimetres of rain in an hour, more obviously in 3. So, yes, quite a lot of rain, short space of time. It will eventually clear. Where we get the clear spells overnight, we'll get some mist. Minimum temperature 13 Celsius. The mist is going to lift quite quickly on Tuesday morning to give way to some bright and sunny spells. Could get one or two showers around, but they will be quite isolated. Maximum temperature 22 Celsius for Tuesday. That's 72 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast. Thanks very much, dude. Hello.
Roberto Perroni.
Gardeners wanting to rid their spring flower beds of snails can ditch the beer traps and eggshells and instead develop a strong throwing arm instead.
Weekdays from 3.
I don't think there's any ethical dilemma about throwing them as opposed to killing them. It's clearly better to throw them.
Hertfordshire Police are warning drivers to take extra precautions with their vehicles following a rise in the number of cars stolen using specialised hacking equipment. 2/3 of teachers say poor writing has prevented them giving the marks a student truly deserves.
Roberto Perroni.
I do the animal stories. I also do the space stories, apparently.
Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
OK. Yeah. So, busy last 10 minutes of the show. We're taking your phone calls on ever being confronted in the street, ever confronted someone in the street. I got told off outside a cafe in London for sitting with my back to the window. It was really weird. It was really uncomfortable. It was thoroughly unpleasant.
But it was kind of great at the same time. You know when someone got told off in school?
Yeah.
And you all kind of clenched a bit?
Yeah.
It was that.
What was funny was we were there with it was me, Catherine and Paul Scoynes. We had a little works outing for the grown-ups. The children we're going to take to soft play next week. Don't worry, we've not forgotten about you. Soft play and hot dogs, yeah? What was great was when she went in, we were silent for about 30 seconds and Paul went, yeah, major buzzkill. It was a major buzzkill. But then afterwards, I went up to her and spoke to her privately and said what I thought you did was inappropriate, and I didn't say it, but it was bullying, basically. So, ever confronted anybody in the street? And also, because of an email we got from Mark, ever had to pull an emergency alarm, ever had to hit the red button at the top of the escalator? It's my dream to be able to...
My sister did that when she was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, nearly shot everyone off the escalator in boots.
I hit a big red alarm in C&A's when I was about 3.
Why? Because it was big red button.
It was there when I was 3, and it was
All
the 70s.
kids' toys have got big red buttons on that
Yeah.
you're supposed to press. You can't tell them to not press it.
Yeah, I would love... My real thing, and I don't, I know we're talking about a very serious fire incident today, but is to set off one of those glass fire alarms.
No.
To set off one of those... I know, that really is the forbidden fruit of...
I think if I needed to do it, I'd have to think twice about doing it. I've been so programmed not to mess with
I've got it all worked out. Elbow. Doom.
They don't have a little hammer over some of them, do they?
No. Oh, the hammer that shatters the glass on a train. Heaven forbid we should ever be in a situation where we need that. But the hammer that shatters the window on a train. It's just sat there looking at me. Take me down.
Just a little tap.
And that's what it takes. It shatters the whole window. I just want to see what happens.
Well, I think we know what will happen.
Well, it was...
Don't try it.
No, don't try it. And again, we'll get Sheila will phone up and say I'm making light of train accidents.
We're not.
We're not in the slightest.
Do you know that we have an emergency button here?
Whoa! Where is it? I don't see it.
It's in reception.
Yeah.
And when you hit it, I think it goes straight to the police. And I hit it because I tried to open the door.
That's not a reason to hit it. You're supposed to hit it if someone bursts in with a gun.
Yeah.
Is it like on films where it's like a button under Jan's desk, and so she just someone comes in with a gun, Jan is like, oh no, of course.
SAS through the window.
The SAS coming through with the BBC. Of course, we have to be protected. We are at huge risk of having anger. Well, JVS has been beaten up by an old woman, hasn't he? But when he's been... Was it you, JVS, an old woman came in and handbagged you? Yeah, handbagged him. I don't know why.
He probably deserved it.
He probably did in that instance. I wouldn't be surprised. Old drivers phone in. He's just buzzed through. Yeah.
For it, then.
They get very upset with that.
I had to call the police on the way home from our afternoon.
Oh, this was nuts! Yeah, go on, what happened?
Mad. Well, I phoned Scoinsy as well. I'm driving along the M1, it's dark.
The police would be more effective.
Well, I phoned the police first, then I phoned Scoinsy because I didn't want him ploughing into this guy.
So hang on, was I the third call? Whoa!
I just had to say it to someone.
Why would I be the third call?
Actually, you were the second.
Thanks very much.
Scoinsy was in having a coffee. He didn't answer his phone. So I was driving home.
My call?
I'll phone you next.
Okay.
After soft play and hot dogs.
I was driving
You'd
home.
love soft play.
What was it, about 8 o'clock by the time we
Yeah, sure, why
got
not?
home? So I was driving
No, it wasn't 8 o'clock at all. Unless you've lied to your husband and said it was 8 o'clock. It was
dark anyway.
It was, I know it's summer. It was about half 9, 10.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
Let's call it that.
All right.
So I was driving home, and as I was driving, I was in the correct lane, the first lane of the M1, heading northbound.
Yes.
Just after Toddington Services, I had to swerve because there was a bloke having a walk.
Having a what?
Having a walk.
Okay.
There's no hard shoulder there.
Wow, he's just walking
He
down
was
the
just
motorway.
having a little mosey.
Wowzers.
And the lorries were sort of swerving round him, and I thought, that is a recipe for disaster. I must call the authorities. So I phoned the police. Guess what?
Yeah.
They already knew.
Good.
They gave me the description back and said, yeah, it's the night for it tonight, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
We're all over it. We'll get someone down there.
Wow.
But I felt important and I felt valued.
Well done, you. We'll do ever phone the
What
authorities.
a wally, though.
Well, I know you are, but don't be so hard on yourself. You did the right thing.
Okay. I didn't listen to that. I'll listen when you ring me.
I'll phone you.
Okay.
Okay. 08459 455 555. And and I know I'm going to go to David.
Do it then.
That's why I was fading you down so I could give David a free run. I didn't want you two jabbering away while I was talking to David.
Jabbering? Really?
David, I was going to you anyway. What would you like to say, sir?
Good morning, Ian. I'm enjoying your show as usual.
Thank you very much. We're getting away with it again.
Yes, just to let you know, I got trapped in a lift which was totally glass on the outside of a hotel in Bangkok on the 17th floor.
Oh, now that takes it to here's the pun, a new level. That must have been quite scary.
It was very, because I'm absolutely scared of heights.
Oh, mate.
And I'm so embarrassed. I was holding the hand of the bellboy who was showing me up to the room.
Hey, it's Bangkok, anything goes.
And I had an involuntary bowel movement.
Did you poo yourself?
I did. And
in a glass lift in Bangkok while you were holding a bellboy's hand?
It was totally glass, and they wound us down to the next floor after 2.25 hours, and I had to get out of the lift, and it was very embarrassing. Don't laugh.
Well, I'm not laughing, and neither is JVS. So you. Oh, there's so much I want to ask. I'm just trying to work out what I can ask before 9 o'clock on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
So you were up there for 2.5 hours?
Yeah, 2.25.
2.25 hours. You pooed yourself?
Yes. I was holding the hand of the bellboy. who was showing me up to the room with the suitcases, etc. And I was shaking like a leaf. But I must admit the hotel management were absolutely superb afterwards. I got absolute superior room, superior service. So it's brilliant. And free laundry.
Is it a true story, or are you winding me up?
No, it is. No, it's absolutely true.
David, bless you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What a horrific scenario for that bellboy to have been in. And for you as well.
Thank you very much indeed, Ian.
David, thank you very much. Don't get stuck in a lift with David. He gets a little bit nervous. They gave him free laundry. God, I'm so sorry. Carol's in St Albans. Can you believe that story, Carol?
I didn't hear it.
A man pooed himself in a glass lift in Bangkok while he was holding a bellboy's hand.
Oh, no, I didn't hear it.
OK, do you want me to say it again? No.
No, I was ringing. Catherine did the right thing. The police would rather have half a dozen people ring in than using, somebody's sure to have done it, somebody's sure to have done it.
Oh, listen, I totally agree, yes.
And then they get a phone call saying there's a body all over the carriageway.
Oh, blimey. Oh, dear. Have you ever called 999?
Yes.
What happened?
Walkers on the M25.
What? Really?
Yeah, there's about 6 of them. Carrying suitcases.
What, were they on the hard shoulder? Were they in the lane?
Yeah.
This is craziness.
And also cyclists.
On the motorway?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Last week before, my daughter rang. There was cyclists cycling up the A1M.
This is interesting. We've had a few incidents of bikes on motorways recently. I know Catherine's husband, I think, has seen someone on a bike on the motorway. I saw someone on the M4 on a bicycle. What is it? Why is this? Why are we getting a rash of this at the moment, do you think?
I don't know. I think the A1M, in a way, is understandable.
Yeah.
Because you're on the A1, then all of a sudden it's the A1M.
Yeah, of course. But still, you'd think a little bit of common sense. Carol, thank you very much. Carol, when you dialed 999, how did it make you feel as a person?
I can't say I gave it a thought.
Did you not? Because when I've had to call it, I had to call it because there was a car on fire outside my house, and I've had to call an ambulance for people a couple of times. And I felt I felt a sense of pride, and if I'm honest, I felt a little bit smug that I'd done something so righteous.
I've never given it a thought.
OK, next time it happens, try and jot it down in a dream book or something and let me know. Catherine, do you know what I mean? Did you feel a bit righteous?
I felt like I'd done the right thing.
Yeah. Civic pride. That's pride.
Yeah.
That's pride.
That's seeing something wrong and doing something about it.
No wonder it's such a new feeling to me. I never feel pride. But I felt proud when I phoned up the police and the fire brigade first, to report a car on fire outside my house.
You should feel proud about the way you handled that crazy cafe woman.
I do, yeah. I felt disappointed because she didn't listen.
I admire that. I would
really?
have taken that home with me and thought about what I should have said to her.
Listen, you can tell I'm in therapy. I wasn't going to let her give me another resentment to carry around. That was her resentment. I gave it back to her. I gave the resentment back to her. Yeah, you go, you see. You can tell I'm seeing an American Weekly. Right, that's it. That's your lot. If you want to phone JVS to talk about dogs on Leeds, I would suggest you start calling now. The phone number is 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Hertford on the speed sensors, the A414 heavy going towards the centre of town from the A10. And the A1M southbound is still struggling around junction 7 for Stevenage at the moment. The M1 northbound busy between junction 13 for Bedford and 14 for Milton Keynes. And the London-bound carriageway is still quite slow between junction 10 for Luton and 9 for Redbourne. The M25 anti-clockwise very slow between junction 19 for Watford and 16 for the M40. Public transport, no reported problems. I'm Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed, Alice. If you've just tuned in, well, you missed a phone call from a gentleman who pooed himself in a glass lift in Bangkok whilst holding the hand of a bellboy. Now. You going to listen tomorrow? I think you should. JVS is up next. Ta-ta.
local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, follow that. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Monday, it's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone-In, I'm asking, should dogs be kept on a lead at all times in all public places?